Shalom, I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Welcome back to the Astrotheology video series. We're going to discuss the Egyptian origin of Christianity. Okay, that is the Christ birth story, right? The baby in the manger, and actually all of the Gospels. Okay, it is of Egyptian origin according to the author, the Reverend Robert Taylor. He's the author of the book that we're reading, The Devil's Pulpit. So why is it called The Devil's Pulpit? Because Reverend Robert Taylor began to expose secret society information, the priesthood secrets. Okay, he began to expose the priesthood secrets that we're reading in this book. And so they began to call him a devil, to label him as a devil, so that the people would be afraid of him and so that they would hate him. So he took the name and made a mockery out of them and called the book The Devil's Pulpit. So that's where the word devil comes from in the book title, okay? So he took it and made a mockery. He used it to make a mockery out of them, but they called him a devil so that people would hate him and be afraid to listen to anything he had to say or anything that he would write. So that's where we're at. Okay, so let's give it 1 minute and then we'll get started. Okay, so let's take a look at our 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. This course is a linguistics course. It teaches you about the Ancient Ibaryath language. It is a comprehensive introductory course into the Ibaryath language. This is the language that our ancient ancestors spoke and wrote, okay? We're giving it away for almost free. You can get for $1 a 1-day trial. And we have, as you can see, 113 video lessons. So you can go through as many of these 113 videos as you want during your 1-day trial. It's just $1. And then after that, it's only $10 per month to subscribe. There's no contract, so you can cancel anytime. Okay, for any time, any reason, you can cancel it. But I know you're going to want to keep this for years and years and years. So we're using principles and concepts that are in this course as we examine the book that we've been reading over the past 7 videos that we've done on this astrotheology topic. And I hope that you can see how the author of this book has expertly used linguistics, information, or linguistics concepts, the science of linguistics, also history, so on and so forth, to really show us what's written in the original document that they call the New Testament, okay, or the Gospels, all right? So he's doing that, and you'll be able to do the same thing too by subscribing to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. The 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. So again, there's 113 lessons. So if you scroll down, be sure to read everything. Okay, now, some people may be on the fence about subscribing, you know. And if you're on the fence, you have to think about why. Because where else are you going to go? Or where else had you been able to go in the past? And where can you go now other than here to learn on a streaming platform? Yes, this is streaming. You can study this at home, at work, at the gym, on your lunch break, whatever. Where else can you go and get this information? There's no doctrine in it. So Zion Law School is not a camp. So you're not going to be in a camp or church situation where they're trying to convince you and persuade you and push their doctrine deeper into your psyche by using the language. No, it's not that. This is a literary examination and evaluation of the language. There's no religion, there's no doctrine involved at all. And you don't have any risk. There's no risk for you. You can try it for $1 and you can subscribe for $10. That's basically free. Where else are you going to go get that? And I keep saying this, go to a synagogue and see how many thousands of dollars that they're going to charge you. Okay, go to a Hebrew school and see how many thousands of dollars they're going to charge you. And you're not even learning Ibaryath. They're going to teach you biblical Hebrew or modern Hebrew. So what good is that, right? What good is that? All right, so scroll down and you'll see the blue button here to subscribe. All right, so when you subscribe, you'll get this $1 for 1 day offer. All right, and then after that, you'll get the $10 per month promotion. So we're keeping it $10 so that no matter where one of our people are in the world, they might be in a third world, fourth world country, $10, they can still afford to subscribe, even though it's going to be expensive for them for $10, right? $10 is still a lot of money in certain places, like in the Philippines, right? Or Southeast Asia, $10 is a lot of money still. All right. So you'll see that there are 3 parts. The introduction, you'll learn important concepts here, really extremely important concepts. You'll learn about the ancient inscriptions, the Hebrew Greek paradigm, right? You're going to learn some really, really important information about the slave trade that I'm almost 99% sure that most of you don't know it and never heard of it. Part 2 is about the pictographs. So this is everything pictographs from their meaning and grammar and culture, so on and so forth. And then part 3, also you'll see these amazing Ibaryath word studies that are phenomenal. They really blow your mind. You can believe that, but don't take my word for it. Go ahead and subscribe. And if you're on the wall, just go ahead and jump, pull the trigger, okay? Don't hesitate, pull the trigger. This is for you, and do something good for yourself, okay? Just pull the trigger. It's only gonna cost you $10, okay? And plus you get to try it out. All right, and you can cancel anytime. So really there's no excuse. This is gonna help you return to the Most High, and I'm gonna show you that. All right, so here you see all of the grammar, all right, parts of speech and so on. Now, this isn't everything in the course, obviously, right? That's just what we're showing on the syllabus. All right, so go ahead and subscribe now. Do it now. Subscribe for yourself and for your family, your children, your loved ones, right? Do it for them, also for you, because we're basically giving it away for free. So support what we're doing, because with your support, we can produce more. And you see, these are extremely affordable prices. It's basically free, right? So support your people. And a lot of the so-called Hebrew Israelites, they won't buy anything from their own people, but they'll spend big money buying Jewish people's literature. Don't be like that, all right? Don't be in the slave mentality where you use your money to make other people rich, okay? Act in a powerful way, in a self-respecting way. Respect yourself by respecting your scholars among you and those who are creators, literature, right? Creators of literature. Spend your money with your own people so that we can buy even more, so that we can produce even more literature and more products, more content creations for you. Okay, that's how we educate. We have to educate ourselves. Y'all see what has happened as we rely on Christianity to educate us. That's what we're going through in the book. They have completely destroyed us mentally. completely destroyed us economically. So why keep spending money with them, right? So just think about it. Even if you feel some kind of way about it and you're hesitant, go ahead and do it. Okay, do it because you need to develop the habit of supporting your own, because supporting your own is supporting yourself. All right, so now here's why the Ancient Ibaryath course is really, really important. Okay, so let's go to Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8. We're in Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8 in the Bible Hub. All right, so now let's go down to the Amplified Bible version. So here we are, the Amplified Bible version that's highlighted. And it reads, how can you say we are wise? See, how can you say we are wise? Right? Meaning that they're not. And the law of the Most High is with us. And we are learned. See, learned. What is this? Linguistics. It's language. What's the language? Ibaryath. And teachings. What are the teachings? The commandments, the Most High's instructions. Behold, the truth is at the lying pen of the scribes. These are your ancestors and my ancestors. We learned from Robert Taylor, the author of this book, that these are the dark priesthood. This is the dark priesthood, the black priesthood, right? And others are among them. But these are the ones who did us dirty. Let's continue. The lying pen of the scribes have made the law into a lie, a mere code of ceremonial observances. So by definition, this is religion. So our own ancestors created these religions. The black priesthood, the dark priesthood created religions. Okay, so since they created these religions, that means that the house of Yasharallah was never a religion. Okay, if you just look at it logically. All right, these religions were created by the black priesthood, and that's what we've been reading in the book, right? We've been reading about the black priesthood in the book and religion and how they created it, okay? All right, so now let's get into our topic. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me check to make sure the stream is good. So give me 1 second, please. All right. So the stream is all right. All right. So here we go. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School, and feel free to ask questions and comment in the chat. I'll check it from time to time, all right? I'll check it from time to time, and if I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know the answer. So I don't know everything, and I certainly don't know everything about astrotheology. I'm learning as I go. Okay, so if I say I don't know the answer, believe me, I'm not trying to avoid answering, okay? And for those of you who asked me in the past, if the New Testament is true and should you believe it and all of that, the answer is you have to make that decision on your own. What we're doing now is presenting you with information, scientific information from this book called The Devil's Pulpit, written by Reverend Robert Taylor. You can find the PDF online. Okay, so I'm going to read, I'm going to explain and discuss, but I'm not going to give you my personal opinion, because my personal opinion doesn't matter. And you have to make those decisions for yourself and get in the habit of making those kinds of decisions for yourself and not reserving them for your religious leaders to make for you, okay? Because you'll always go wrong. Zion Law School is not a camp or a church, okay? It's not a camp or a church. And I'm definitely not a religious leader, okay? I am an educator, a professor, all right? So let's get into our text. Last week, we left off at the top of the page. No, we left off on this paragraph here. All right, so I'm just going to begin reading here. So be sure, if this is your first time joining us, be sure to watch yesterday's video. Okay, watch yesterday's video so you can get all of what we covered in this book yesterday, and it was a lot of information, okay? But make sure you watch from the first video, number 1, all the way up until now. Watch everything. This book is a difficult read. It's a really, really difficult read, okay? It's not easy to read at all. So as we go through it, I'm explaining everything, okay? I'm explaining everything, so, okay, so I'm explaining everything so that you'll be able to more easily understand it, okay? So you can listen to this and then you can read it for yourself if you like, or you can just listen to this and just follow along, okay? So I'm gonna do the best I can, so do something for me and you do the best you can to follow along. And then you also subscribe to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, okay? Make sure you subscribe to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. And everybody who's listening, all scholars in the audience, you are welcome to observe 2 free classes every Saturday. Every Saturday, we're doing a word-for-word breakdown of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 29, okay? And when we finish 15:29, we'll have another class going from 30 to 45 or something like that, okay? So we're doing similar to what we're doing with this book, we're doing with Deuteronomy chapter 28. And we're using the same type of scientific tools, right? Historical analysis, linguistic analysis, so on and so forth. So that's what we do. All right. Shalom, Jimmy. How are you?
Shalom, that's yourself. I'm doing great. How about yourself, brother?
I'm good. You ready to get started?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm going to say shalom to our audience that is participating with us.
All right. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm eating ice cream.
Yeah, all right.
All right, so here we go. All right, so we're going to start where the highlight is. So if you all look at the cursor, you'll see the highlight. So we'll begin reading.
So actually, let me go ahead and get that first reading because in a minute I will not be able to read, but I will still be on with you.
Okay,
right.
Great.
Yeah. All right. It says, well, by the way, man, phenomenal job by you and Linda last night. Man, and a lot of revelation came out last night. I was left in a cliffhanger with the sisters situation and with the Cupid situation. So just wanted to get that in there as we pick it up from here.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, here we are. The absolute identity of the pagan, capital G-O-D, Mithra, that is Zoroaster.
Zoroaster, yes.
Zoroaster, the original Zoroaster, or personified genius of the S-U-N and the J-C of the gospel is then so clear and so demonstrable that no man's nose was ever more clearly to be proved to be a part and porcel of and pertaining to his faith. Then Christ and Mithra may be shown to be one and the self-same personification of the sun, sun, and Christianity and magic one and the same, and one and the self-same device for working on the imagination of ignorant and silly people and rendering them to slaves, cowards, and fools. That it was always most convenient for their masters that they should be.
Okay, you want to give us commentary, Jimmy?
Well, that is very interesting. On part number 7, we were able to identify that those 3 wise men were actually magicians, which is a huge revelation. And for as specific that the Christians are when it comes to sorcery and magician, I thought that was quite something. So looking at this right here, it's basically identifying that the pagan, capital G-O-D, in the Mithra, having, and of course the JC character having the same personification. Having the same personification, shown to be one, and same personification of the sun. Again, still leading us back to the sun deity. Putting all of those back to the sun's deity. And yet, you still have the ignorant and silly people just buying into it. And what I was thinking about, as we go through this, is that people have bought in so deep into this. It has been so deeply rooted that it is very difficult, and in some cases we can even say impossible, to awaken them. Almost impossible to awaken them. You with me, Dr. Yusapa?
Yes. Okay, great. So let me make a few, were you done, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so now let's take a look at a few things. It says the absolute identity of the pagan deity, excuse me, Mithra. Mithra. Excuse me. The absolute identity of the pagan deity, or the capital G-O-D, Mithra, is Zoroaster. Zoroaster is the Persian deity, right? That's involved in fire worship. We reviewed that yesterday. So Mithra is Zoroaster. Mithra is Zoroaster, okay? Zoroaster is the sun. So Mithra, Zoroaster, both are the sun. JC of the Gospels is also the sun, is also Mithra, is also Zoroaster. In other words, these are all the same forms of ancient sun worship. Okay, now the author says this is absolutely clear. How clear? He says so clear and so demonstratable. How is it demonstratable? Through an analysis of the historical accounts, right? The science of history. The stories are the same, okay? Now, right here, we're speaking more about the birth of the baby JC, but the Gospels are the same throughout, okay? It's the same, all right. It's so clear that no man's nose was ever more clearly to be proved to be part and parcel and pertaining to his face. then that Christ and Mithra may be shown to be one and the same personification of the sun. Okay, so it's just as obvious as your nose belongs to you because it's on your face. It's so obvious when you look at the histories of these two that they're one and the same. Okay, they are the sun, S-U-N. All right, and notice this, scholars in the audience. Christianity and magic. Magic and Christianity, Christianity and magic are one and the self-same device. A device is a tool. As a matter of fact, let's look up device. You with me, Jimmy?
Yes, Dr. Issapa, I am with you.
All right. Let's look up device to see what our author is trying to communicate to us. All right, in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, we read, the meaning of device is something devised or contrived. How to use device in a, no, that's not a good one. I want a more specific. All right, so let's look at the free dictionary. Let's look at number one. Okay, device, noun, devices, an inclination or desire. What is up with these? Are such poor quality dictionaries. Okay, well, let's look at the dictionary.com. Device definition. Follow the cursor, please. A thing made for a particular purpose, an invention or contrivance, especially mechanical or electrical. So it is made for a particular purpose. Keep that in mind. All right, so we just read number one, a thing made for a particular purpose, an invention or contrivance, especially a mechanical or electrical one. Two, a plan or scheme for affecting a purpose. Device, noun, a plan or scheme for affecting a purpose. Three, a crafty scheme, a trick. A crafty scheme, a trick. Four, a particular word pattern. Here we see charm. Remember from yesterday's lesson, Jimmy? The charm, the God spell, the spell, the incantation. Y'all see it?
That's right.
You remember, Jimmy?
Yep, I recall listening to that, absolutely.
Excellent. And we also learned in yesterday's lesson that they would repeat this incantation, this particular word pattern, for the purpose of getting the Black Master, the Black Prince, to give them all power, unlimited power over their congregation. Okay, over their congregation. And looking at history and looking at the present day, you see that they were using that unlimited power, that spell that they cast on their congregation. They used it to exploit them financially, sexually, so on and so forth. They take houses, they take your money, they take everything, your life insurance policy, they take it all. Okay, and why do the people stay when they're being clearly abused for decades and hundreds of years? They've been abused in all of the Christian churches, Baptist, Catholic, Methodist, Episcopalian, all of them, Seventh-day Adventists, right? All of the Jehovah's Witnesses, all of them. They abuse people. Why are the people staying? Because they are under a spell. What spell? The God's spell, the gospel. And they're afraid. Okay, they are afraid to go someplace else. So now let's continue looking at the meanings of device. It is a noun, a particular word pattern. That would be a chant, right? Incantation, a spell, figure of speech, combination of word sounds. Again, we're seeing incantation, chant, right? Used in a literary work to evoke a desired effect or arouse a desired reaction in the reader. So we're seeing incantations, chants, spells, God spells, and what else? What else can we add in here, Jimmy? Sermons, the preacher's sermons. They're designed to evoke a feeling. What do the feeling, Jimmy, that the people get who listen to the preachers, what do they say they catch? They catch the Holy Ghost.
Holy Ghost, the Holy Ghost. That's right. And before you know it, they start speaking in tongue and they start dancing. Hey, listen, I've been through it.
Yeah, that's what's happening here. And this is real stuff. This is real stuff. This is no joke. They're under a spell.
And Dr. Isapa, if I may add, you know what's very interesting about that spell is that even the people in the surroundings, as you start partaking in this, and especially the vulnerable people who may be going through a situation, and then you see this, and then you hear all these testimonies, and you hear this great sermon, how things are just going to miraculously change. That's how they actually get you. Then once you are in, you are in. And the problem is when that spell is no longer, first and foremost, anything that you actually believe in can actually become a deity for you. And like we mentioned 2 nights ago, Dr. Isapa, that deity, you as an individual is the one that empowered that deity because it's your belief in it that manifested to make it work, to make it seem like it worked for you. So where is the source of the true power? You, right?
That's right.
You're the source of the true power. So, in the religion, it's to say under one name. And then under that name, that's when everything is supposed to change. One of my first revelations, I should say, was when I seen it working at first, and then a couple of times you use that name and it didn't work. And it came to me like, well, wait a minute. That particular passage did not say there was any condition. It says anytime I use this name, it's supposed to work. So why is it not working out?
Yeah.
But then in the back of our mind, because we are so deep under that spell, we find excuses. We blame ourselves just so we can keep on believing and holding on to that hope.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Isapa.
Excellent. Excellent. And also, we note this. This is what we know. Some people, they begin to get the courage to leave Christianity because they've known for years, even decades, that it wasn't right or something wasn't right, right? So they leave. And then where do they run into? Many of them run right into Hebrew Israelitism, or one of the camps where they're also pushing Christianity. And they run into the camp because that spell is still active on them. They're still telling the same story. They just changed the name of the Christ figure. So that spell still has them gripped under their control, or under its control. So they run to another organization that's using, for example, this is just an example. Instead of using JC, well, they use Yahushai, right? Instead of using English, instead of using English words, they use modern Hebrew words for the deity.
Wow.
And the story is just the same. So now they're in that camp, in that church, in that assembly, and then the whole system just repeats itself. And the only thing that's different are the names. So for example, instead of Zoroaster, it's JC. Instead of JC, it's Mithra. Only difference is the time. Same story. They're under a spell. And so they run away from the church, and then they run to one of these Hebrew Israelite organizations to get the same story all over again, because they are still under the spell. All right? All right. So let's continue with this point. This is critically important, in my opinion. And Christianity and magic, remember the magic, that's black magic, right? The black arts, the black sciences. And Christianity and magic, one and the self-same device for working on the imaginations of ignorant and silly people. So what is the purpose of Christianity and the black magics, the black arts, the black sciences? What's the purpose? We're told here, to work on the imaginations of the people. Now, why is he saying ignorant people? Because they don't understand linguistics. They don't understand how to use history and linguistics to read a document and to understand what it actually says, so that they cannot be tricked by the black priesthood or the dark priesthood. See, silly people, why silly people? Because they trust what the priesthood is telling them, when the priesthood are knaves. The priesthood are knaves. They're against you. They want to take your money. They want to fleece you. And like Linda said last night, they don't play fair. They're out to strip you from everything you got.
And that's with or without your knowledge.
Yeah, that's with or without your knowledge. So the purpose of Christianity is to function as a tool to capture your imagination. Y'all know what imagination is. Let's look it up. They want to capture your imagination. They want to capture your imagination. Okay, Jimmy, are you able to read or?
No, I'm not gonna be able to read, brother.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Okay, so now we're going to look at Merriam-Webster's dictionary. The meaning of imagination is the act or power of forming a mental image of something not present to the senses or never before wholly perceived in reality. Y'all understand what this is saying? This is saying they want to capture your mind. The mind at its most fundamental level, at its basic level, functions on mental images. Whether you are conscious of it or not, your mind is working on mental images. So the Christian priesthood designed Christianity and black magic so that they can take control of the images that your mind sees. At the most fundamental level, it's not what you say, and it's not so much what you hear. It's the mental images that are produced that produce behavior. Okay, so if they can capture your your imagination, they can control you. And look back on your life, be honest with yourself, okay? Be candid. Have you been controlled by your religious beliefs? Have you done things that your pastor or religious organization wanted you to do, but really deep down inside you didn't want to do it? Have you been moved by guilt? Have you been afraid seeing images or imagining things that would happen to you if you didn't do what you're expected to do or as you thought based upon your religion? Be honest with yourself. Your mental imagery, your imagination has been captured, and that's the whole purpose of Christianity. That's the whole purpose. Psychic attacks to control you and fleece you, separate, like people used to say when I was little, separate you from your money, right? Separate you from your money. And I know in the religious organization I was involved in, people would actually leave their house to the religion and not to their children. They would leave their life insurance to the religion and not to their children. Okay, that's how deep this is when they capture your imagination, meaning that you are hoping that you're going to what? Either go to heaven or you're going to go to capital God's kingdom. That's the capturing of the imagination, right? That's what it is. All right, so let's continue. So that's the purpose of Christianity, to capture your imagination and to have you hoping for heaven or the deity's kingdom, right? And then you give all of your energy, all of your money, all of your resources to the church or whatever organization you're involved in, right? So they got you. They control, they have you out preaching for them. They have you, I know, I used to do it. I did it for decades, right? I did it for decades, but you expend all of this energy and time. You cheat yourself out of your life working to grow that religious organization. And if you do something they don't like, they kick you out. Okay, and then they'll even destroy your reputation so that nobody will talk to you, so that the members won't find out how terrible and wicked they are. It's a way of protecting themselves from the truth getting out. But anyway, let's continue. So, and Christianity and magic are one and the same device for working on the imagination of ignorant and silly people and rendering them slaves. Slaves are debtors, cowards. Somebody slap you, turn the other cheek. Okay, think about the civil rights era. They beat those people up, and they didn't even fight back, right? Even now, people are afraid to fight back. They're afraid to fight back, all because of Christianity. So slaves, cowards, and what? Fools. Fools. That is, let me repeat that. That it was always most convenient for their masters, see, slave and master. Masters are creditors, slaves are debtors, right? The masters call the shots, the slaves carry all the debt, and the slaves work for the masters and give them their energy. Right? That's what the masters, the priesthood, wants the Christian to be: a slave, a coward, and a fool. All right. You have anything else, Jimmy? Are you there? Let me see. Am I still on? Jimmy, are you able to hear me? Can someone put a 1 in the chat if you all can hear me? I'm not sure if you all can hear me.
Yeah, Dr. Isaba, I could hear you. I lost connection for a minute there, but I could hear you now.
Okay, thanks, Jimmy. So let's see. We have in the chat, we have John Walker says Shalawama. The Hindu religion's JC is a deity Krishna. That's absolutely correct. That's right. Let's see. John Walker also says, I always wonder why so many church women want to get with the pastors, even though the pastors are married. Right. That's right. Okay, now let's continue. Thanks for those comments, John. We appreciate it. It makes the video better, makes the content better. Okay, so let's continue with the reading. Thus, the birth of the God, Mithra, from the days of hold on, y'all, let me get my, thus the birth of the deity Mithra from the days of an infinitely remote antiquity. Okay, so let me go to the next page. Okay, so we're here, scholars, we're here. From an infinitely remote antiquity, that means old, was represented to have taken place in a stable. So Mithra, right? Mithra, the birth of Mithra took place in a stable and was celebrated throughout the whole pagan world. On none other than the 25th day of December, our Christmas day, the most celebrated of all the magician festivals were, if you rectify your celestial globe to the moment of 12 o'clock at midnight between the 24th and 25th of December, you will find that the constellation of the stable of Bethlehem, in which Christ is said to be born, the moment he achieves his first degree of ascension at the lower meridian, while you shall see the constellation of the Virgin, who is said to bring him forth in no disparagement to her eternal virginity. In other words, how does she get pregnant, right? If she's a virgin. Okay. At that moment, come to the line of the horizon, and thus said to preside over his nativity. Okay, so let's take a Jimmy. You had is this paragraph clear? Do I need to go through it or?
It's pretty clear to me, but if you ask him if you should go through it, perhaps you should, because that means there might be somebody listening that may need some more explanation.
Okay, thanks. So that first sentence is telling us that Mithra, this is it says infinitely remote antiquity. So this Mithra deity is very old, right? Goes way back in history. Okay, the birth of Mithra took place in the stable. The alleged birth of the Christ figure is also supposed to have taken place in a stable, so the story is the same. Okay, now back to Mithra's birth. Mithra's birth in a stable was celebrated throughout the whole pagan world. So everybody see that? So Mithra's birth in the stable was celebrated throughout the whole pagan world on the 25th day of December. All right, so Mithra was born on Christmas Day, the 25th of December. Then it says the most celebrated of all the magician festivals. So Mithra's birthday on December 25th was the most popular and the most important of all the magician festivals. So the magicians had many festivals, right? That's correct, right?
Yep.
All right, festivals. Festivals are days where people eat and they party.
Or I guess we could say we know them as holidays today.
Yeah, we know them as holidays today. And then it continues, where if you rectify your celestial globe to the moment of the 12 o'clock at midnight. All right, so imagine between the 24th and the 25th. So now it's the 24th, 11 p.m., December 24th at 12 midnight, right? It now becomes December 25th. That's what it's telling us. You will find the constellation of the stable of Bethlehem. The constellation, this is the zodiac sign, right? So at 12 o'clock, that new zodiac sign, the sun goes into the new zodiac sign, which is characterized as the stable of Bethlehem, in which Christ is said to be born. And Jimmy, I believe that was Sagittarius, right? Or was it?
Yeah, it was the Sagittarius was November, mid-November, I believe, to mid-December.
Okay, so let's Google search this and see if I can find out to make sure. You will find the constellation of the stable.
For the date, yes. Because that's what we were saying, I believe it was on video one, that December 25th, which is the date of birth given to this deity, did not necessarily fall under the Sagittarius sign, but rather the next sign after the Sagittarius.
Oh, okay. I think I understand what's going on. Yes. So we're looking at the lower. So the lower meridian would be, I think, on the other half of the globe. So let's check this out. So let's check it out. So scholars, I'm not an expert on astrotheology or astrology. So this zodiac stuff is I'm not an expert in it, so I need to figure it out myself. But we figure it out together, right? We're figuring it out together. What did it call it? Oh, constellation.
That's the beauty of it. We have the tools to do that.
Yeah.
We have the tool and the knowledge to figure it out.
Of Bethlehem. Let's see.
And as you look that up, Dr. Yusuf,
Yes.
As you look that up, you know, what's very interesting is that when we talk about the spell, you know, it is so deeply rooted, that spell, as you mentioned, that even family will turn against one another. That's how deep that spell goes. This is no joke. This is no joke. This is serious.
Ah, okay. I think I understand what's happening now. Give me 1 second. Yeah, yeah. So it's not, I don't think it's the Star of Bethlehem. This is, so we typed in, we Google searched the constellation of Bethlehem, and it's returning the Star of Bethlehem. But I'm thinking that it's referring to Sagittarius, but let me make sure. Let me ask a different question. Oops. Let's ask a different question. Let's see, JC's birth, the Star of Bethlehem, zodiac signs. Okay, from time to time, 2 large planets. Let's see if we can get this. I think it is Sagittarius, Jimmy. You know, images for what? All right. Okay, when JC was born. All right. Let me see if we can see this. What is this? The sun, the moon. Okay, so here's the horizon that they talked about. Here's Virgo. Okay, so I don't see it. Hold on, let's see.
Now, I was referring to when you look at the zodiac, it kind of tell you each zodiac when it begins. For example, the zodiac sign, the Cancer, will start on June 22nd or 21st, first day of summer. That's when the Cancer start, and it ends July 20th.
Yes.
And I think it's similar with the Sagittarius. The Sagittarius end right before December 25th.
Oh, that's what, so that's correct. That's correct. So we're talking about the end of Sagittarius and then the beginning of Virgo. You're correct.
Okay.
You're correct. So Sagittarius ends at 12 o'clock midnight. Let me repeat that. Sagittarius ends December 24th, 11:59 p.m. Virgo begins 12 midnight, December 25th. Thanks, Jimmy. So now
not a problem.
If you
right now, you don't have the document up.
Huh?
You don't have the document. You're not showing the document right now.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks. All right, so let's continue. So we're going to start right here between. So between the 24th and 25th of December, you will find that the constellation of the stable of Bethlehem, in which the Christ figure in the Gospels is said to be born, the moment he achieves his first degree of ascension at the lower meridian, while you shall see the constellation of the Virgin, who is said to bring him forth, in no disparagement to her eternal virginity. At that moment, come to the line on the horizon, and thus said to preside over his nativity. So the Virgin, or is it Virgo? The constellation Virgo resides over his nativity. In other words, the Virgin Mary gave birth to him. Is that clear?
Clear.
All right, so let's look up disparagement. So we have a precise definition, disparagement. The meaning of disparagement is the publication of false and injurious statements that are derogatory to another person's property, business, or product. All right, so let's go back to the document. So how did Mary get pregnant, right? See, how did she get pregnant? and he's saying, well, I'm not trying to say anything negative about her or her eternal virginity, right? So let's see if I can find the image of Virgo horizon.
Dr. Isapa,
Yeah.
briefly, if I remember correctly, Virgo usually comes in sometime in September. After the Sagittarius, I believe December 22nd comes the Capricorn. The Capricorn, I believe, goes from December 22nd to about January 21st or something like that.
Hold on, let me see. Okay, thanks, Jimmy. Let me check it.
Yep, not a problem, because I'm not in front of my computer, as you know, but I believe if you take a look at it.
Oh, you're right. So what is it? Oh, I know what's happening. I know what's happening. Okay, so you're right. So what this is saying, I understand now.
Okay.
Let me show the document again. Here's what it's saying. The story, the Christ story, right, is that JC was born, right, in a manger to a virgin. Okay, so this is where we need to look. Born to a virgin, that would be Virgo, right? The lower meridian. So we need to look at the, see, do you see this? It says the moment he achieves his first degree of ascension at the lower meridian. So let me search that. While you shall see the consolation of the virgin. All right, so the virgin is at the lower meridian. That's what he's saying. Okay, so thanks for pointing that out, Jimmy.
No, not a problem at all, brother.
All right, so let me see if I can find out what the lower meridian is. I wonder, I guess I would have to find a zodiac book to really be able to get through this stuff and know exactly what's what. Okay, zodiac, let's see, lower, no. Virgo, right?
Yeah, Virgo is for the Virgin after you're looking at for the Virgo constellation.
Virgo sign. Let me see, horizon. See what comes. What is the Virgo sign horizon? Let's see. If Virgo is in ascent in your natal chart, this means that Virgo was the constellation on the horizon. Okay, so we need to find out what the horizon is. So that's what it's saying, okay? So when Christ was born, when the JC was born, if you looked at his natal chart, Virgo would have been the constellation on the horizon. Y'all see it? So let me read it. If Virgo is in ascent, let's go back to the document. I believe he said Virgo, was it in? Did he say Virgo was in ascent?
Let's take a look at the
Yeah, see, the moment he achieves his first degree of ascension. Y'all see that? All right, so when the Christ figure was born in the manger, all right. So this is talking about a zodiac birth chart, y'all. That's what's being talked about here. A zodiac birth chart. All right, so now let's read it. If Virgo is ascendant in your natal chart is your birth chart. See, natal, let me go back, natal and nativity. Y'all see it? Natal chart and nativity.
Yeah, natal is a medical prefix for a baby, yes. And
yes.
nativity talks about a baby as well.
Yes, yes. So if Virgo is in ascent in your natal chart, that's your birth chart, this means that Virgo was the constellation on the horizon at the time and place of your birth. So that's what the author just said. Let me go back and show everybody because that had me confused. All right, it says again, let me move this menu bar here. All right, so it says here, between December 24th and 25th, you will find the consolation of the stable of Bethlehem, in which Christ is said to be born. The moment he achieves his first degree of ascension at the lower meridian. Okay, now when it says he, this is clearly to me talking about the sun. His is the sun, first degree of ascension of the sun at the lower meridian, while you shall see the consolation of the virgin who is said to bring him forth at that moment come to the line of the horizon. All right, and thus said to preside over his nativity. All right, so we just verified that that's talking about a birth chart, right?
Right,
So
right.
let's go back and do it one more again.
One more game.
If Virgo is ascendant in your natal chart, this means that Virgo was a constellation on the horizon at the time and place of your birth. The sign indicates how you engage with the world, how people see and perceive you, and your general outlook in life. All right, so I guess what matters, at least just based upon this information, when you're dealing with a birth chart, what matters is what constellation or what zodiac sign is on the horizon. And in the case of the Christ figure, it was Virgo on the horizon. So therefore, Virgo is said to, or the Virgin Mary is said to be his mother. We're talking astrotheologically, right? Scholars in the audience. All right. How was that, Jimmy?
Well, hey, you know, I completely understand it. But what I found very interesting as you go through this is that I've personally spoken with a lot of people throughout the years and all the time, all my whole life in Christianity. And you, Joe, I would say more people are into and talk about this know and believe that this JC character was not born in December. Now that's a red flag, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I say according to what is being said, he was not born in December, but yet to go ahead and go right back to the point, proving the effect of still believing. Blame.
Hey, Jimmy,
I guess you could say the dark.
Jimmy, you're breaking up. Can you repeat?
Now.
Yeah, try to repeat it.
Yeah. So you're gonna blame. Okay. You're going to blame the black priesthood to say, well, yeah, they're the one that changed the birth date. But it never occurred to you that basically perhaps they made the whole thing up. So you know he was not born in December, but you were happy that your savior that was given to you was just born. So you accept to celebrate him in December, though you know that was not the date he was born. But will refuse to accept that perhaps it was made up.
That's right.
I just find it ironic.
Yeah. I remember dealing with that issue when I was in Christianity also. And you all will remember, you should remember from yesterday's lesson that the Epiphany, the Christ figure and the Epiphany, these are the same celebration, right? And they were on January 6th. Mm-hmm. And then they pushed it back to December 25th. Why? So that they could match the Christ figure up with the date of Mithra, the birth date of the Christ figure with the date of Mithra on December 25th. So you see how they are knaves, they don't play fair, they trick you, lie to you, okay, and then give you all kind of ridiculous reasoning to explain it away, and then you accept it because you trust them, right? You trust them, and you think, okay, well, they know better than me, or you just want to get along with them, and so you let it go because there are other things about the church or the religion that you agree with or that you like, or maybe you like the people. But for one reason or another, you decide to turn off your own analytical mind and go along to get along. And in the process, you get hustled, you get made a slave, right? You get made a fool out of, and they turn you into a coward, afraid to speak up for yourself, afraid to fight back, right? Because one, somebody slap you, turn the other cheek. Be Christ-like. He was so loving to even people who plotted to murder him. Even people who did violence against him, he never protected himself. So you become a easy target, a coward, and a fool in this whole process. And you let them fleece you like a sheep, even at the expense of your children, because you're out of your mind, right? This is the gospel, okay? You're out of your mind. You're under a spell. All right, so let's go to the next paragraph. Okay, so let's begin reading. As Saint Justin, commonly called Justin Martyr, one of the earliest of the Christian fathers. Okay, so now we're dealing with the Christian father. This is historical evidence that they're going to produce. Actually draws the parallel between Christ and Mithra. So here we see a church father pointing out a parallel between Christ and Mithra. And here it is. Here's his statement, that Christ was born on the same day when the sun takes his annual birth in the stable of Augeas, that is, in the station of the celestial goat, where we have seen is actually placed the stable of Augeas in the sixth labor of Hercules. Now, I don't have a clue what this is about, but they're the same, the stable of the goat for Augeas and for the Christ figure. I'm sorry, and for Mithra. Let me take a look at it again. So this church father actually draws the parallel between Christ and Mithra, that Christ was born on the same day when the sun takes its annual birth. So Christ is born on the day when the sun takes his annual birth in the stable of Augeas. So the sun is entering into the stable of Augeas. We'll Google search that. That is in the station of the celestial goat. So the stable of Augeas is in the station of the celestial goat. Is that a zodiac sign? Oh, that would be the ram.
Yeah, that would be the ram. That's the ram.
Okay, so the ram. Is ram Aries? I'll look it up. Okay, so the stable of Augeas is the station of the celestial. Go ahead, Jimmy.
I believe the ram is Aries.
Okay, all right. So the station of the celestial goat, where we have seen, is actually placed in the stable of Augeas, in the sixth labor of Hercules. So the sixth labor of Hercules. These are astronomy terms. I don't have a clue what they mean. What is the station of the goat? I should have put the celestial station of the goat. Let's see. Any questions in the, let me, hold on. Well, I'm gonna check the questions in the chat after this, hold on. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the, if you have any questions or comments, or even statements, go ahead, put it in the chat. I'm gonna check it after we do the search. Celestial gate of the goat. So your comments help make this video more meaningful and more rich to people who watch it in the future. So don't be selfish and don't be shy to add to the quality of the video. You'll be helping somebody and even helping yourself. All right, so here we are, the gate of the goat. Oh, fairy tale. No, that's not what. No, that's not what we want. I should have put zodiac. Oh, let's see, Capricorn. Clues to the meaning of the select. No, that's not what we want. What is the zodiac celestial? Back in the day, I used to date this girl named Celeste. Man, I haven't thought about her in years. I was like 19, 20. What is the zodiac celestial? Wouldn't it be a trip if she was watching this video? I haven't seen that woman. I don't know how long. Okay, so the gate of the goat key is one of the 12 zodiac gates used by celestial spirit mages. That would be magi's to summon the goat, Capricorn. Okay, so the goat is Capricorn. All right, the goat is Capricorn, according to this. The sixth labor, now we look up the sixth labor. What is the sixth labor? Was it Hercules? Yeah, sixth labor of Hercules. Labors of Hercules.
That does to get this to go back on there.
Hercules, sixth labor. The Symphalian birds. No, that's not it. Let me type in. Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Okay, now we can hear you, Dr. Isaba.
Okay, thanks. So the signs and Hercules 12 labors, astro. Okay, the signs and Hercules 12 labors, Aries, 0 Aries, that point when the north climbing sun crosses the equator. Okay, so let's make a note of that, 0 Aries. So I guess I'm confused now. So the goat is Aries or Capricorn? Well, let's take a look at this. 0 Aries, the point when the north climbing sun. So the sun is moving upward, okay? So 0 Aries, the sun is climbing up northward. The sun crosses the equator, marks the beginning of the tropical zodiac and launches spring in the northern hemisphere. Is that clear?
So Dr. Isaba, the Capricorn does have 2 horns, so it may be portrayed as the goat.
Okay, thanks.
Can we take a look at, maybe we could search the zodiac. Let's just take a look at those for each month and we can identify it.
Okay, yeah, we can. Let me finish going through the 6 labors, okay? Because that's what we're dealing with. We'll go back to it.
Okay.
We'll go back to it. Maybe we can find, all right. So we just read this. Okay, so the sun at Aries. Let's see. 0 Aries, 0 Aries, Aries shadow. Well, why is this not showing up? Hold on. So okay, here it is. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. This is it. It appears to be it. All right. Okay. The Stymphalian birds. After Hercules returned from his success in the Aegean stables, Eurystheus came up with an even more difficult task for the sixth labor. Hercules was to drive away the enormous flock of birds which gathered at the lake near the town of Stymphalos. Arriving at the lake, which was deep in the woods, Hercules had no idea how to drive the huge gathering of birds away. All right, okay, so let's see. Climbing the nearby mountain, Hercules clashed the crotala loudly, scaring the birds out of the tree. So let me see. So far, it looks like this sixth labor has to do with birds. Let me see what else. The sixth labor of her, yeah, it has to do with birds. All right. Let's see if we see anything else. The sixth labor of Hercules. Okay, so what is this? The sixth labor of Hercules, mountainous Corinthia. No, that's a tweet. Our journey takes place in Athens, Corinthia. All right. After Hercules returns from his success in the Aegean stables, which represent the clearing out. I think this might be it. I think this might be it. The sixth labor of Hercules, the Stymphalian birds, the path of the illumination. Yeah, I think this might be the path of the illumination and the removal of energy blockings above the head. All right, y'all got that? Nobody want to see that. After Hercules returns from his success in the Aegean stables, which represents clearing out the base chakra with the river of energy, Eurystheus came up with an even more difficult task for the sixth labor. Hercules was to drive away an enormous flock of birds which gathered at the lake near the town of Stymphalos. All right. So now we see. All right. So I want to keep that there. So let's just go back. So I saw a few words that were in it. So y'all see the stable of Aegeus? They just spelled it wrong. Of Aegeus, they spelled it differently. All right. So that's what that's talking about. The clearing out. Was it the lower chakra, Jimmy? I forgot which chakra it was. What chakra was it that they're clearing out? All right, sixth labor of Hercules, removal of energy blockage above the head. All right, so Hercules arrows the energy blockages in the chakras above the head. So it's clearing out the energy chakras above your head. That's what the sixth labor is. All right, so Jimmy, what's the other one you want me to look up?
Dr. Sola, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we were looking at the zodiac sign. So the Aries is, I believe, the goat. However, the Capricorn is another form of horse. So I don't know if we can take a look at them so we can really identify them so that our audience understand exactly where we at with the zodiacs, especially during the time in the major. We know we're coming from the Sagittarius, going into the Capricorn, but I think knowing what signs they were is going to be just as important.
Okay, so y'all see Aries right here. Aries dates March 21 to April 19. March 21 to April 19, and that does look like a goat.
Yeah, with the horns.
Yeah. Oh, I see why. The element fire. Right? So we're talking about Mithra and Zoroaster. Zoroaster, fire worship, fire sun. I think that's what that's about. Okay. That's why Aries. So let's see. But he's going to discuss it more. So
Okay.
You said Capricorn?
The Capricorn, now that's the one that comes right afterwards, after the
Right.
Sagittarius.
Okay, so what's happening here? I can see what's happening now. So Sagittarius was in August, and Capricorn follows Sagittarius December 25th through January 19th. But the date in concern is December 25th, December 24th, and December 25th, 12 o'clock, right? So what happens at 12 o'clock midnight? The sun going back, let me show y'all. We just went over this. Oops. This is talking about the progression of the sun, the location of the sun, not which sign it's in, but it's where the sun's travel. Okay, so here's what it's saying. The Christ figure was born on the self-same day when the sun takes his annual birth in the stable of Aguius, that is, in the station of the celestial goat. Is that where we just read from? Oh, no, the other paragraph. That was up here. So y'all remember this paragraph about December 25th? Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah, it says, you will find the consolation of the stable of Bethlehem, in which Christ is said to be born. That was Sagittarius, the moment he achieves his first degree of ascension. Okay, so that's the sun rising above the equator at the lower meridian, right? While you shall see the constellation of Virgin, remember, of Virgo at the horizon. So the sun is rising above the equator. Y'all follow me? The sun is rising above the equator. Okay. Remember, we go back and listen to this part of the video that we just covered to talk about this. When we talked about that, it was pretty clear. So this next paragraph, go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I agree with you. Yes, it was clear.
Okay, as Saint Justin, commonly called Justin Martyr. So Justin Martyr is Saint Justin, one of the earliest of the Christian fathers. Okay, so that's given him his credibility, right? Actually draws the parallel between Christ and Mithra. So now we're looking at the parallel between Christ and Mithra, whereas in this paragraph, what were we looking at? We were looking at the parallel between who? I forgot who we were looking at. Let me go back.
I think it was the parallel between JC and Mithra, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Mithra. Yeah, the birth of Mithra. All right. So that paragraph is having to do with the sun coming up above the equator, where the cursor is. The sun coming up above the equator, right? Since it's at the horizon, that's why they're saying Christ figure was, or the Christ figure's mother is the Virgin Mary or Virgo, okay? And in this paragraph, we're reading also about Mithra. The church father admits that the Christ and the Mithra are the same. And here it is, that Christ was born on the self-same day. So this is talking about the day that the Christ figure was born, okay? That Christ was born on the same day when the sun takes his annual birth in the stable of Augeas, that is the station of the celestial goat, where we have seen is actually placed in the stable of Augeas, in the sixth labor of Hercules. This is confusing to me. I think I will have to read something on astrology to figure out. And I'm not talking about any type of spiritistic stuff, y'all. I'm talking about the movement of the sun through the zodiac signs, so I can learn this terminology. That Christ was born in the self-same day the sun takes its annual birth in the stable of Augeas. Okay, so the stable of Augeas, we already established that what that was, did we?
I thought I could have sworn that you and Linda covered that yesterday.
No, we did it today. That is the station. So the stable of Augeas. So the stable of Augeas is the celestial goat. So wait, let me see. See this is where I'm at. They're saying that the Christ figure was born on January 6th, right? With the Epiphany, okay? Born on January 6th. Now they're saying, in this paragraph, they're explaining why the Virgin Mary, why his mother is said to be a virgin. That's what this paragraph is telling us, right? Okay. Because the sun was passing, it was going north or coming up above the equator. Okay, and that's at the horizon of Mary. Remember we talked about the birth charts?
Yes.
Right, so Virgo was at the horizon at this time, at December 25th. Virgo is at the horizon. That's why Mary is said to be a virgin and his mother, okay? So in this paragraph, now they're saying his birthday is in the celestial goat, which is Aries, which is, we looked at the date, it was March, right?
That's going back to March.
Yeah, that's going back
Aries
to
would be March, yeah.
So we gotta, well, so I guess we'll have to just keep reading, and I guess he's gonna tell us what it means. Y'all see, Aries is March 21st. All right, so let's keep reading and see if he explains it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not able to read along with you, Dr. So I see the document, but I'm not able to read it.
That's okay. It's okay. Go ahead, do what you got to do. I'm okay.
Okay,
let me check the chat. Let me check the chat to see if there's anything.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay, Sealy 15 says yes. Ram is Aries. Thank you, Sealy 15. Let's see. Yashay Elkanah Yasharala says in Hebrew, calendar was born around September 20th, sign Libra. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yashay also says sun placement determines your sun sign, and there is your moon too. Okay. Sealy 15 says JC's rising sign is Virgo. Interesting. Yes. Yes, that's why they're saying his mother, Mary, is a virgin. Let's see. Ya is one says the lower meridian is the semicircular segment of the meridian that is below the observer's horizon. John Walker says one. Sealy 15 says, I read a library about Zoroastrianism years ago. And if my memory serves me correct, God was neither male or female. God wasn't assigned a gender. Doesn't that coincide with John chapter 1, Jimmy? I'm sorry, with Genesis chapter 1?
Absolutely, that's definitely Genesis chapter 1.
John Walker
in
says,
our image, he created both male and female. Sounds like a hermaphrodite to me. But check out that video, Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2, through the Zion Law School database right here on YouTube.
Yeah. John Walker says, I always wonder why it's okay. So we already read that one. Let's see. Let's go back. Y'all keep the comments coming and keep putting information in the chat because this information is helpful. I don't have a background in this information. So what you all put in the chat is extremely helpful. Okay, so let me see. Let's see. Yaz 1 says the stable of Augeas was a stable which had allegedly belonged to Augeas, king of Elis in Greek mythology. Thank you, Yaz 1. So this is really, really helpful. Silly 15 says Aries, symbol a ram, Capricorn, a seagull. Okay, yeah, keep it coming, y'all. Yeah, help us out. Help us out with this. And we appreciate it very, very much, very much. All right. Yeah, Jimmy, this is kind of complicated to try to do all of this stuff myself, you know?
I know. And I do apologize to you, Dr. Isapa, and our audience. We had a few things we had to take care of. So as I speak right now, I am on the road, hoping to make it in time that I can go ahead and get settled in and we can really, continue on. But do excuse us, and Dr. Isapa, I know it's quite a bit on you, but I also know if anyone can get through it, you shall.
All right, thanks, man. Okay, let's continue with our reading. Here we are. This Capricornus, the goat, oh, there it is right there. This Capricornus, the goat, that's Aries, in pagan mythology, is said to have suckled the infant Jupiter, of which enigma, the undoubted solution is that the sun, who is Jupiter, okay, so the sun is Jupiter, first beginning to rise on the 25th of December, when the days have been at the shortest on the 21st, or St. Thomas's Day, so that unbelieving Thomas doubted whether the sun would ever rise again. Oh, that's very interesting, okay? So yes, so December 25th, the sun is beginning to rise again. All right, the sun is going north. Okay, so I was correct with this. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so we're here. First appeared to be lengthening again. So on December 25th, the days begin to become longer. Okay, the days begin to become longer. The sun, or Jupiter, or Jesus, is said to be born or brought up with the goat. All right, I understand that now. Okay, so they're saying on December 25th, because the day has, instead of the days becoming shorter, meaning nighttime long, okay, the sun begins to go up, and now the days are going to become longer. So they're saying this is the birth of Jesus, right? Whereas in the paragraph above, they're explaining why Mary is a virgin and his mother. This is the natal chart, okay? This paragraph is highlighted. That's explaining his natal chart, and that Virgo was at the horizon. Therefore, his mother was a virgin. This.
Now, when you said, Dr. Isapa, when we said Virgo was at the horizon, because Silly 15 made a comment earlier, and it got me thinking about that as well. If Virgo is at the horizon, what exactly does that mean? The way I'm understanding it,
no, that doesn't mean anything other than Virgo. Virgo is a virgin, so his mother is a virgin.
Is a virgin. Gotcha.
So that corresponds to the story, the Virgin Mary.
The Virgin Mary. Okay.
That's why
and then
she's
now,
a virgin.
The other thing that you just mentioned was that the 25th of December, the days become longer.
Yes, that's the first day that marks the lengthening of the days.
Because generally speaking, sometime in October, that's when I believe the sun goes below the equator. That's when we have longer, we go into winter and we have longer dark hours, right? Dusk
That's right.
hours.
That's right.
And then sometime in March, the time changes again where we have longer days.
Yeah, the different seasons. That's right.
Okay. So when we said in December 25th, the days are getting longer, are we referring to that it's the mark where the shift begins to take place?
Well, it's not we, the author is saying this. Not
The author, absolutely. The author,
right.
so the author is saying December 25th, the days begins to get longer, but we don't experience that where we turn our clock, backward or forward until again, October and March are generally the two times.
I said it wrong. The sun is rising. So let's read it again. Let's read it again. All right. So we'll start here. Of which enigma is a difficult story to understand, right?
Absolutely.
Of which enigma, the undoubted solution is that the sun, who is Jupiter, first beginning to rise on December 25th. Okay, so Jupiter or the sun begins to rise on December 25th. That's the point. The sun begins to rise on December 25th. So let's continue. All right. When the days having been at the shortest on December 21st or St. Thomas Day. So December 21st marks the shortest day of the year. They call it St. Thomas Day. Why? Because Thomas doubted that the sun would ever rise again. Everybody see that?
Wow, got it. I see the connection.
Okay, so now let's continue. So we'll start here. December 25th, when the days having been at their shortest on December 21st, first appear to be lengthening again. So the author is saying that on December 25th, the days begin to appear to becoming longer. All right. The sun or Jupiter or Jesus is said to be born or brought up with the goat. Thus, among the nations who reckoned the year to begin at the winter solstice, that is in Capricornus. All right, so here's what they're saying. At that time, they thought the year began, or for them, the year began in the winter solstice. Y'all see it? As opposed to in the spring equinox. Okay. Thus, among the nations who reckon that the year to begin at the winter solstice, that is in Capricornus, the goat, the first sentence of the first chapter of their book of Genesis was talking about the first chapter of Genesis, right? We know what that is. That's an insertion, right? We know that linguistically and from historical evidence. As in the first copies of the Samaritan Pentateuch, quote, in the beginning, the goat created the heavens and the earth. Y'all hear that?
Wow.
In the Samaritan Pentateuch, is saying in the beginning, the goat created the heavens and the earth. This is quoting from the Samaritan Pentateuch. How many people knew that?
I had no idea.
Hey, Jimmy, we've been telling people that Genesis chapter 1 is an insertion, right? Jeremiah 8:8.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
All right. So in the beginning, the goat created the heavens and the earth, while those who reckon the year to begin from the vernal equinox, that is when the sun enters the sign of Aries, the ram, okay, which is the tribe of Gad, the zodiacal Israel, Isis, Ra, and El. Place Gad as the first. Place Gad as the first, hold on, y'all, as the first of the tribes. and accommodating their magic to their astronomy, have handed down their Hebrew text, which has become our magic. In the beginning, Gad, that is the ram, created the heavens and the earth. And where was this text handed down from? Babylonian captivity, right? Genesis chapter 1 was inserted into the book of Genesis during or shortly after Babylonian captivity. You see that, Jimmy? All right. Okay. So this is the Mishnah or the biblical Hebrew, right? Like we were telling y'all, it's not ours. So let's go back and
It's not from our people.
yeah, let's go back and take a look at this. So Capricornus, the goat, in pagan mythology, is said to suckle the infant Jupiter. So Capricorn, so Jupiter, the baby Jupiter, was sucking on this goat's nipple. That's what this is saying.
Wow.
Yeah, thus Capricornus, the goat, in pagan mythology is said to have suckled, well, let's look it up, suckled the infant Jupiter, right? Jupiter is Jesus. So this is the sun, of which enigma, the undoubted solution is that the sun, who is Jupiter, first began to rise on December 25th, right? Or the 25th of December. So the goat suckled the infant Jupiter. The sun is rising at that time. So let's look up suckle. But I think everybody knows what suckle means, right?
Yeah, for the most part, but let's take a look at it briefly.
All right, suckle. Suckle, to give milk to from the breast or udder. All right, so baby Jesus was sucking on the breast of the goat. So let's take a look at this again. So here's the goat, right, Aries. Baby Capricornus in Greek mythology was sucking on that goat's nipple. I'm sorry, baby infant Jupiter, baby Jupiter was sucking on Capricornus, the goat's nipple. So you see what they're using, Capricornus instead of Aries for the goat. That's what's confusing.
Yeah.
But okay, so Capricornus, oh, you know what so here's why. I'm thinking Capricorn, which is the zodiac sign, but this is a character. This is the name of the goat, not the zodiac sign.
Ah, so Capricorn is the name of the actual goat.
Right. So in Greek mythology, there's a goat named Capricornus. So this is not the zodiac sign, right? So in Greek mythology, there's a goat whose name is Capricornus. And the infant Jupiter is sucking on the goat whose name is Capricornus nipple. That's what it's saying.
Oh.
In pagan mythology. All right, now let's continue. Of which enigma, tricky story to understand, the undoubted solution is, in other words, what is this story about? How does it relate to the Christ figure? That the sun, who is Jupiter, first beginning to rise on December 25th, when the days having been at their shortest on December 21st. So the shortest day of the year is December 21st. The sun, or the days begin to lengthen on December 25th. Okay, that's what that's saying. December 21st, the shortest day of the year, is called St. Thomas Day, because the people were afraid, or they didn't believe, or they doubted that the sun would ever rise again. But the sun began to rise again on December 25th. Is that clear, Jimmy?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, so now, so that's where I just discussed that. All right. Now let's go to the next part. The sun or Jupiter or Jesus is said to be born or brought up with the goat. Okay, so that's just a blanket statement. The sun, S-U-N, or Jupiter or Jesus. So the sun is Jesus and Jupiter is Jesus, and what y'all see what I'm saying? These are all the same. The sun, Jupiter, and Jesus, they're the same. They're the sun. Okay, so the sun or Jupiter or Jesus is said to be born or brought up with the goat. Okay, now I understand. They're brought up with the goat because they're doing what? They're sucking the goat's nipple. Y'all see it? In Greek mythology, we're still in Greek mythology, not in the zodiac. They're explaining the story in Greek mythology. Okay. So Jesus, Jupiter are sucking the goat's nipple, right? Now, thus, among the nations who reckon the year to begin at the winter solstice, that is in Capricornus, the goat. So now let's look up winter solstice. I think we went over this 2 classes ago, last time you were here, Jimmy.
Yep, I believe so.
So in the winter solstice, there is an imbalance. So, how do you spell solstice? I know I spelled that wrong. There's an imbalance. Let's see if we can get an image. So what does it mean by a winter, by an imbalance or the winter solstice? I'm looking for an image. It means that in the summer, if you look at a line, a vertical line, let's say you look at a circle and then draw a line straight through the middle. I'm going to try to find it. Winter solstice. You draw a line right through the middle. The top of the line would be the summer solstice. That's the day of the year when the sun, the number of daylight hours is the longest, and the sun is the highest in the sky. At the bottom of the circle, that's going to be the time where the sun is the furthest away from the earth. This is the winter solstice, is furthest away from the earth. Y'all follow me? And the length of days, the length of the nighttime reaches its peak. Okay.
All right.
Hold on, let me see how, let me look at it by, is this confusing?
No, not so much so, not if you've been following along.
So once you, I didn't give it, let me go to Google. They're giving us all this crazy stuff. John, is this confusing? Oh, I think I just saw it. Oh. John, is this difficult to follow or what? Where are we?
Keep an eye on the chat, Dr. Isaba, for his response.
Okay, yeah, let me check the chat real quick. So what happens in the winter solstice? Okay, so Sealy 15 says Aries is not the goat. Thank you, Sealy 15. All right, so let's look at these images. See what we can find. All right, so let's start here, not the image first, but let's start with the highlight. So what happens in winter solstice? At the winter solstice, the sun travels to the shortest path through the sky. And that day, therefore, has the least daylight and the longest night. Also see solstice. When the winter solstice happens in the northern hemisphere, the North Pole is tilted about 23.4 degrees away from the sun. All right, so let's see what we can find in images. So the point is that the sun, that the number of nighttime hours reaches its maximum at the winter solstice. I'm looking for the image. I've seen an image that's a nice diagram for it. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see, winter solstice. No, that's not good. That's confusing. Wow, I can't believe that there's really no good images to explain this. Hold on. All right. Okay, well, let me try it this way. Let me just type in solstice. Okay, I think this might be what we need. Let me see. All right, so this is not, that should be pointed the other way. Hold on, y'all. Let's see if we can find it. All right. None of these pictures are, I've seen a very easy to understand image, but I don't see it now. So can y'all imagine a vertical line, right? Y'all see what I'm pointing? Can you see the cursor, Jimmy?
Yes, I can't look cursor.
So you see this vertical line here? Imagine this line goes up to here. That would be the summer solstice. And this line, imagine it extends down here. This would be the winter solstice, okay? So this would be the point of the year where the sun is furthest away from the earth. And that means that the number of nighttime hours are longest at this point. So in the Greek mythology, the people doubt that the sun will ever come back, right? They're doubting if the sun will ever come back. That's December 21st. And the sun begins to rise. That's December 25th, marking when the sun begins to lengthen, okay? So the number of hours of daylight begins to increase on December 25th. That's what it's saying. Okay. All right. Sheesh, man. This is difficult reading. All right. So I think we cleared that up. So what I like about this paragraph is that it brings out this point about the Sumerian Pentateuch. Here it says, in the beginning, the goat created the heavens and the earth, while those who reckon the year to begin from the vernal equinox, that is when the sun enters the sign of Aries, the ram. So let's look up vernal equinox. Vernal equinox. Let me take a look at the chat. All right, so let's see. John Walker says Capricorn is a goat, not Aries the ram. Thank you, John. John also says a goat and a ram are different from different animals. All right, John, thank you. Okay. Okay, so what is the vernal equinox? It reads vernal equinox occurs when the tilt of the Earth's rotational axis reaches a particular position. All right. We're all aware of the imaginary axle the Earth spins around once every 24 hours. While we might imagine that axle to be vertical, that is perpendicular to the Earth's plane, the axis is actually tilted 23.5 degrees. So here we see it. Let's go back to the image we were just at. All right, so I'll show you the tilt. So you see how the sun is here. This is daylight. For example, this is daylight. It looks like this is the east, right? And on the west, it would be dark. Okay, so this straight line is actually tilted this way. Follow the cursor. So let me show you. So that would be the vernal equinox. So it would be this tilted line, 23.4 degree tilt. Okay, that's what they're talking about. That's the vernal equinox. Well, here it is right here, right? So this top of the line would be summer solstice. The sun is at its highest point during the year. So that means that the number of daylight hours are the longest when the sun is at its peak. And at the bottom, this is the winter solstice, okay? And when the sun is here, it's at its peak. Oops, hold on. The number of dark hours, the number of hours of darkness is at its peak. So the 21st is the peak, right? And the people are doubting if the sun will ever rise. On the 25th, the sun begins to rise again. And they know that because the number of hours of daylight begins to increase on December 25th. That's what this is talking about, okay? So let's go back. What other terms do we need to look at? Okay, so we looked at the vernal equinox. All right, well, those who reckon the year to begin. So at this time, y'all see, people thought the year began on December 21st or the 25th, right? At the vernal equinox. They thought the year began. So these days, they say the year begins on January 1, right? January 1 marks the new year, the beginning of the new year. Here, they were thinking the new year began on the vernal equinox, all right? That is when the sun enters the sign of Aries, the ram, which is the tribe of Gad. So the sign of, wait, so Aries, the ram is March, right, Jimmy?
Yes, it is. It is March. Aries, it is March.
So let me see, maybe, let me, what month, I'm getting confused. What month is the vernal? Do you know something that can clarify this? You have any ideas? What month does the vernal equinox begin? Okay, so the spring equinox or vernal equinox. Okay, so this is in March. So this is when people do their Passover. I thought we were talking about solstice. Were we talking about the winter solstice?
Well, we're talking about the winter solstice, but I believe you was looking at something on Virgo as well.
Okay, so okay. All right, so here the author switches. So the vernal equinox would be, let me show that. So that would be March, spring and fall. So that would be the summer. Summer equinox. All right. Okay, so let's see. Yes, summer and fall. All right, so here we go. So here's a vernal equinox. This is March, right? So this is when people do their Passover. Okay, so the vernal equinox is spring, the beginning of spring. And the autumn equinox is the beginning of autumn or fall, all right? So the winter solstice, that's what I was talking about, those vertical points, the number of days of daylight and sunlight. Okay, so that's December 21st through the 22nd. This is the doubting Thomas, right? And then on the 25th, December 25th, the sun begins to rise again. Okay, and the sun reaches its peak in June. So you get the longest number of daylight hours in June and the longest number of nighttime hours, December 21st and 22nd. All right, everybody see that? So y'all can go to this. Let me put this in the chat. Give me 1 second, Jimmy. Let me put this in the chat.
Yeah, this was definitely good.
Yeah, everybody can read that. I'll put it in the chat, y'all, so everybody can read it. Let me see, how should I title this? All right, so yeah, I put it in the chat. Let me see if I'm gonna try to pin it to the top. Yeah, there we go. So everybody, y'all can get that. Wow, that was a lot of work, man. That was confusing. Okay, so here we are. Anybody have any comments or questions? Clarification. So we finally got that. We finally got it, but I'm still not understanding why he jumped from the winter solstice to the summer equinox. All right. Thus among the nations who reckon the year to begin at the winter solstice. Okay, yeah. Thus among the nations who reckon the year to begin at the winter solstice. Yeah, okay. That is Capricornus the goat. The first sentence of the first chapter of the book of Genesis was, as in the first copies of the Samaritan Pentateuch, the beginning of the goat created the heaven and the earth. Ah, okay, so he's doing a contrast. He's contrasting the people who believe that the winter solstice began the beginning of the year in contrast to those who reckon or believe the year to begin at the vernal equinox. All right, I understand now. I understand now. So some people believe that the winter, that the new year began in the winter, December 21st or 22nd. Others believe that the year began at the vernal equinox. That's what he's saying. Okay, so I got it now. I understand. So in the vernal equinox, that would be the zodiac sign of Aries or the ram. So December 21st would be, what was the zodiac sign, Jimmy, in December?
We said the Capricorn.
Capricorn. All right. So, all right, I understand. I hope everybody else understands. That took me a minute. All right. All right. You have anything to say, Jimmy, or no? Yes or no? Or you don't want to touch it? Okay, so I understand what's happening. So look at this, y'all. This is saying in the beginning, Gad. Gad is the ram, created the heavens and the earth. So this is believed by those people who believe that the beginning of the year began in March. You see it, Jimmy?
So, yep.
Because
Springtime.
it's Gad. Yeah. The people, whoever it was that wrote Genesis chapter 1, they believed that the beginning of the year began in March, the summer equinox or the vernal equinox. You see it? Okay, and we know it because he says it right here. He says it right here. The Sumerian Pentateuch. See? The goat. The goat, while those who reckon the year to begin in the vernal, that is, the sun enters this. No. Okay, let me repeat that. So the people who believe that winter begins on December, that the new year begins on December 21st, say that the year begins in the zodiac sign of the goat, which you said, Jimmy, is Capricorn.
The Capricorn is the zodiac sign for
Right. So,
December, January, yes.
Right. So that's brought out in the Sumerian Pentateuch. Okay. Sumerian Pentateuch says that it begins in the goat, which is Capricorn. Whereas those who believe the new year begins in March or summer or vernal equinox, they believe that the new year begins in March. Did I say that right? So in the Pentateuch, Sumerian Pentateuch, the new year begins in December 21st, zodiac sign of the goat, Capricorn. Those who believe that the new year begins in summer or a spring, which is the Aries or Ram, we know that because they say Gad. They translate Genesis chapter 1 as Gad. You see it, Jimmy? I think I got it. I think I said it right finally. Here it is. In the beginning, Gad, that is the Ram, created the heavens and the earth. So this would be the beginning of the year begins in March, right? As opposed to the Sumerian Pentateuch, which says that the beginning of the year began in December. And we know that because it says the goat. You see? Jimmy? All right. So, okay, I understand what's happening now. I'm sorry it took me so long to figure this out, but I figured it out. I understand it now. All right. So let's continue. Now, sirs, at that moment, to the accuracy of the setting of a watch, what is the state of the visible heavens in the construction of the planisphere? Why, this is it. At the lower meridian, you have the stable of Bethlehem. All right, so this is the lower meridian, the stable of Bethlehem, in which Christ is born. On the eastern point of the horizon, you have the sign of the Virgin. So this is explaining this paragraph, y'all, that we spent a lot of time, right? The Virgin, the birth chart. This is explaining the birth chart. Okay. Let me go back. Okay, so here we are. Am I in the right place? Yeah, okay. So let me begin again. This creation takes place every year on the 25th of March, called Lady Day, or the day of the conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary, who exactly 9 months afterward, on the first moment of December 25th, brings forth her firstborn Jesus and lays him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And then we see the Greek text here. We see the Greek text here where that's written. All right. So we're right here. Here's the Greek text. All right. As you will see that there is really not room enough in the pavilion of the Virgin when, with the spike of corn in one hand and the scales of September in the other, she drops little Jesus out of her bosom, and he tumbles down into the stable, the nadir, or lower meridian, the precise astronomical position of the sun at that moment. Okay, all right, I see that. Right, that's referencing the birth chart that we looked at. Okay, so Virgo was at the horizon. All right, I understand that now. Let's continue. Any questions or comments in the chat? Let me see. I don't see any. Let's see. Let's see. No. All right. So let's continue. No, sirs, at that moment, to the accuracy of the setting of a watch, that is the state of the visible heavens in the construction of the planisphere. Why then is it at the lower meridian you have the stable of Bethlehem, in which Christ is born? On the eastern point of the horizon, you have the sign of the Virgin. With the great star Vendimetrix, we did that the other day, the other video, in her elbow, just peering above the horizon, of which star the Magi or wise men expressing themselves. Quote, we have seen his star in the east, unquote. At the upper meridian, you have the constellation Cancer the Crab, which includes the cradle of Jupiter, literally the icy, that is the manger of Jao, spelled J-A-O, from which mistaken words have been formed the name of the imaginary husband of the Virgin, Joseph. All right, so Joseph is said to be Jao, the imaginary or the husband of Mary, Jesus' mother and father. While on the western horizon, you have the Lamb of capital G-O-D that taketh away the sins of the world, immediately above which you will see the Epiphany or manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles, which is none other than the beautiful constellation Orion. Okay, so this is a Egyptian deity, which you may see this very scene, this very evening. Thus, three bright stars, which constitute his belt, that's the belt of Orion, being the three magician kings. Okay, so those stars are the three magician kings who, looking directly across the horizon, see his star in the east and are come to worship him. All right, I see, I understand that. All right. Which they do by presenting gold, incense, and myrrh, the emblematical oblations in all ages consecrated in honor of the sun. Okay, I understand. All right. So this is laying out the map of the heavens, okay? Showing the stars in relationship to each other and explaining the birth of the Christ story. You there, Jimmy? Okay, so let's.
Dr. Yusapa.
Yes.
All right, I'm in the middle of transitioning, so,
But
okay. I'm here.
Yeah. All right, all right. Let me take a look in the chat again before I read this next paragraph. I think I'll read this next paragraph and we'll call it quits tonight, because I think we're already 2 hours in.
Yeah, there's nothing in the chat right now.
All right. Give me 1 second. Okay, and look ye, sirs, this is history itself, than which nothing that was ever deemed an indubitable record of truth among men was ever more historical. The most ancient chronicles of Alexandria attest the existence and universal prevalence of this religion in Egypt. Listen, y'all, listen, y'all. The most ancient chronicles of Alexandria attest the existence and universal prevalence of this religion in Egypt for ages before the date of its falsely pretended origin in the era of Augustus and Tiberius. Quote, to this day, say the writers of the ancient chronicle, quote, Egypt has consecrated the pregnancy of a virgin and the nativity of her son, whom they annually present in a cradle to the adoration. Hold on, y'all. Let me let Jimmy in. All right. Oops. All right, Jimmy. Let's see, I lost my place. Okay. Whom they annually present in a cradle to the adoration of our people. And when King Ptolemy, that is 350 years before our Christian era, so this is one of the Egyptian pharaohs, right? 350 years before our Christian era, demanded of the priest the significance of this religious ceremony. So you know they're going to start talking about Serapis, right? They told him that it was mystery that had been taught to their forefathers by a respectable prophet. Let me read that again. All right. And when King Ptolemy, that is 350 years before our Christian era, demanded of the priest, that's the Egyptian priest, the significance of this religious ceremony. In other words, all of that astrology that we just read, King Ptolemy said, what does all of this mean? Explain it to me, right? You see how we just stumbled through it. Those Egyptian priests told him that it was a mystery that had been taught to their forefathers by a respectable prophet. This sounds like the theosophy of Paul, right?
Yes. Can you hear me, Dr. Isapa?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right.
Paul said that the wisdom of the Most High is a mystery. That's the theosophy we discussed last lesson. So now these priests told the Pharaoh Ptolemy, and these were Greek or mixed Greek pharaohs, right? Greek and mixed Greek pharaohs.
So, okay, they were Greek pharaohs, not Egyptian.
Well, initially they were Greek, but they began to marry in and have families. So I think there were, I forgot how many, but there may have been like 13 Ptolemy pharaohs. I don't remember exactly, but they mixed in, like Cleopatra would have been mixed. Was it Cleopatra? Yeah, Cleopatra was a Ptolemy. She would have been mixed. Was a Ptolemy pharaoh rather. All right, so the priest played stupid, right? They said it's a mystery. We don't know. Our prophets, our forefathers told us this story. We don't know. We don't really know. So in the name of the Egyptian idol Serapis, we have the radicals. So we remember radicals, right? From linguistics. Zor. This is a 3-letter radical. Ab, a 2-letter radical, and Is. Okay. 2-letter radical. So this Zor, Ab, Is. Okay. In the name of the Egyptian idol Serapis, we have the radical Zor, Ab, Is. So Serapis is a word made from these 3 radicals. Okay, the Z is replaced with an S. Okay, so these are the radicals that form the word Serapis. It's clear? The Son, the Father, the fire, the Son, the Father, the fire, ratified by high evidence of virtuous Emperor Marcus Aurelius that the bishops of Serapis were known and recognized under the title of, what's that say, Jimmy? Bishops
Bishop
of Christ.
Of Christ.
Okay, bishops of Christ. All right. I think most of our people probably know that already, right? About Serapis.
Oh, we would hope.
Huh?
We would hope they do.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's continue. We have found the self-same story, even in the most ridiculous minuteness of its circumstances, constituting the basis of the legends of the Hindu god Krishna.
Mm.
Okay, John Walker, this is what you were talking about. Existing in written documents 1,500 years before our era. And we have found the whole name itself, both Jesus and Christ, quoted by the great astronomer of Arabia, Al-Bozar and Al-Buzmazar, as the name which, following the most ancient traditions of the Persians, the Chaldeans, the Egyptians, of Hermes, and of Aesculapius, had been given to the child, which in the most ancient projection of the signs of the zodiac was represented as the son of the Virgin of the month of August. Quote unquote, that child, says Abu Mazar, which some nations call Jesus, but which in Greek is called Christus. Right, so let's look at the footnote. As old then as the first grouping together of the stars into imaginary figures, whereby alone their relative positions with respect. Let me read that again. Okay, so here's the problem with astrology, right? We talked about this, I think, in the first class. Okay, again, as old then as that first grouping together of the stars into imaginary figures. What are these imaginary figures? This is the zodiac signs. Okay, that's the zodiac signs, y'all.
Yeah, you basically imagine through by looking at the stars.
Well, yeah, but somebody used their imagination and put these signs together.
Together, yeah.
Because when you look in the sky, you don't see a Sagittarius, you don't see a Taurus. Somebody created that, right?
I agree.
You don't see it when you look up. Somebody played a game of connecting the dots.
Yep, and you got you looking up there trying to see if you can make out one of those zodiac signs.
Yeah, so somebody made this stuff up, y'all. So this is imaginary. This comes from someone's imagination. They don't really exist like that. Somebody just
Wow.
drew this picture and said that that's what they were. So let's go back. So this puts you right back into belief, y'all. All right. As the first grouping together of the stars in imaginary figures, whereby alone their relative positions with respect to each other could be described. See, these are the zodiac signs. And as old as that necessary acting of the human mind, whereby it would attach imaginary histories to those imaginary figures. In other words, every sign has its what? Has its characteristics. Remember, we just looked at that. So let's show it again. So this is all imaginary. See, Aries traits: eager, dynamic, quick, competitive. Taurus traits: strong, dependable, sensual, and creative, so on and so forth. So all of these is just made up. Okay.
Just like the Christ story, made up.
Yeah, made up. Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
It's saying just like the Christ story, the whole thing between astronomy, zodiac, and the Christ story, all has been made up.
Yes, this is exactly what the author is telling us. Huh?
Yeah, according to the author, from somebody's imagination.
Yes, it's all made up. Okay, so whereby alone their relative positions with respect to each other could be described. And as old as the necessary acting of the human mind, whereby it would attach imaginary histories to those imaginary figures. That is, as old as when the first human race of men looked up upon the vaulty bosom of the night and said, see there, as what else could they say? Behold, I see the angels of capital God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. So old is the gospel of our capital Lord and Savior, JC. The dream of the occurrence of any of its events or of the existence of any of its personages on earth is only one among millions of melancholy proofs of which an idiot man is capable of becoming when once he renounces his reason. So, according to the author, this astrology stuff is also made up,
Wow.
made up stories.
Wow.
Can you imagine, man, if you were stuck in this type of mentality? You know?
Man, I tell you that's one creative mind, though, man.
Yeah, Jimmy, are you able to read now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, do you want to?
Yes, I can definitely read. All right. Of Jesus, trace to its radical. Yes, the name of Bacchus, the sun, the numerical letters of the great solar cycle, 608, in the form or sign of the consent and truth, in the year of the Dutch, the we of the French, the yes of our own country, you are theretofore informed. Now, I'm curious to get a little bit more clarification on that solar cycle 608.
Okay, let me get mine. That's page 45. All right. Of Jesus traced to its radical, yes, remember the terminal US, the Latin terminal US, which is a suffix, is deleted here. So yes is Jesus. Yes is also the name of Bacchus. Remember we looked at that?
Yes,
Bacchus,
we did.
deity of wine. Okay, so of Jesus traced to its radical, yes, the name of Bacchus, the sun, the numerical letters of the great solar cycle 608. Okay, 608. And the form or sign of the consent and truth in the yar of the Dutch, the oi of the French, the yes of our current. So these are, so yes is yar in Dutch, oi in French.
Okay. It would be we in French, you would pronounce that we.
Oh, we, okay, yeah. So, okay, thanks. That's pronounced we, really?
Yeah, for French, I would be yes.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just saying the different languages that it's that you would pronounce this JC's name in. You are heretofore informed. Okay, so the numerical letters of the great solar cycle 608, I don't know what that means. And the form or sign of the consent and truth. So we went over that before, right? The sun is so reliable, right? It goes up in the morning, goes down at night. It tells you when the seasons are gonna be. Remember we went through that? Or maybe that was Linda and I.
Well, we spoke about that, yeah, as far as
last video. Right, so I consent, I agree, truth. Okay, that's what it's talking about. These concepts, according to the author, the concept of consenting and truth, agreement, and so forth, are based on the sun's reliable, dependable pattern of going through the sky, right? Indicating day, night, and seasons. Okay, so that's what that's talking about. But the solar cycle 608, let's see if we can find something about that. I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that. It would seem to be solar cycle. It talks about the variations. You see the solar cycle, but you don't see the 608 with it, so you can see exactly what it's referring to.
Yeah. What is the solar cycle?
608.
All right. The solar cycle is the cycle of the sun's magnetic field, goes through approximately 11 years. But we want 608.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They don't have it. Is this Google? Let's go to Google. Oh man, that one paragraph was a doozy, but I finally.
Oh man, yeah, that it was rough.
Understand it now. I'm going to try to get a visual on that. I've tried and I haven't been able to find it. Images of solar cycle 68. Oh, okay. So in Google, we got it right away.
Yeah, it shows variations, but it doesn't really give you a good explanation of that solar cycle 608.
Oh, excuse me.
We have two. We have Teresa. She put there in the chat, sun equals truth, faithful.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh. Hi, Teresa. Thank you very much. Couldn't be here yesterday, but again, Linda and Dr. Yusapa just did a phenomenal job getting that information. A lot of discovery yesterday. I enjoyed listening to it. And guys, we cannot thank you enough for your participation. You guys just been riding with us. Teresa, you've been riding with us since we started. Silly 15 been riding with us since we started. We also have Yah is one came back again riding with us. Again, truly appreciate it. John Walker, how's it going, brother? I know you were in here yesterday and putting in a lot of input. We really appreciate you. And you already know how we do at Zion Law School. Again, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution.
What are the numerical? It says numerical letters or numbers? Numerical letters of the great solar.
Oh, did it say letters or numbers?
Letters.
Letters. Numerical letters.
What are the numerical letters of the, well, let's see. What is a solar cycle? So I have no idea what this is, y'all. It's not showing anything.
Yeah, that's 608.
Oh, this major, oh, no, maybe this is it. This major triplicity of constellations has a peculiar relation to the great being, to whom have at times referred to as the one about whom naught can be said. All that can be hinted at is that these three galaxies of stars are the three aspects of the indescribable absolute monad, the ineffable cause of the seven solar systems. Okay, so I think this might be what it is. I have no idea. I have to try to find some book that will explain this terminology to me, or even just give some images of
to help us better understand. As you look at that, back to yourself, Silly 15 added here. Astrological is mathematical. The analogy to animals are just reference points. The signs are within a cycle divided into quadrants, and the quadrants represent the seasons on Earth and in the cosmos.
Thank you, Seeley. We appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for sharing your knowledge on this topic. Really appreciative of that. You see, Google is not giving anything. Google's not giving it up.
Which you would have think you would have found it in Google, right?
Yeah. Let's see if we can find an astrology website. That might be the way to go.
Okay.
Horoscopes, astrology.com. Let's see if they have a search engine or.
Oh yeah, right there. There's a little magnifying glass right up there. Underneath sign in. Yep, there we go.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Let me see, I forgot what it's called. The Great Solar Cycle.
Solar cycle 608.
Nothing. Nothing. Let's see. Let's see.
Well, interestingly enough, even Wikipedia, which I do usually use, but I figured maybe they might have something on it, says they actually have nothing on it.
Yeah, same as Encyclopedia Britannica, nothing.
Yeah, it says does not exist. It says does not exist. You can ask for it to be created. That's Wikipedia. I don't think we're creating anything, but it does not exist. So,
Yeah,
right.
I have to try to find a book. I have to try to find a specialty book to get these terms.
Okay.
Okay, so we're here. You want to continue reading, Jimmy?
Let's continue. All right. There we go. The Hindustani Sherry shot. Let's try this here. Sherry Shana, transformed into the Greek, that's Greek, signifies merely the good man. Jesus denoting the divine, Christ, the human nature, as existing in that great and universal personification of the solar fire, JC. Anything on that, Dr. Isaba?
No, I think that's pretty clear.
All right. Is that a name up there we're looking at, that Hindustans?
Yeah, that's Krishna. You know, well,
okay.
let's show a picture. Let's show a picture. That's
Krishna,
yeah.
okay.
We'll show a picture of Krishna.
That was one of the other deities that said predated. Same story with JC, but predated.
Yeah, these Indian deities look spooky, man. They always gave me the creeps. You see it?
Yeah, okay. I've definitely seen this one before.
Let me see.
Definitely.
Yeah, that gives me the creeps, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like almost a dead person, blue, no oxygen, man.
Yeah, they make it purple because they were it's a way of hiding that they were blue black, you know, really blue. Here's
It's JC with Krishna.
yeah. Y'all see the posing of the bodies are the same. Y'all see that?
Mm-hmm. And in many pictures, I believe they have the same symbol that they do with their fingers.
Yeah. Yeah, they're creepy to me, man. These, no offense to anybody, I'm just being honest with y'all. Yeah. All right. So now but yeah, they do it this color to hide that they were like literally so black that they have hues of blue.
Wow.
So they make it like this purple looking color. Yeah. Someone who studies these Eastern religions told me that.
Okay. We have another comment here by Silly 15. Silly 15 said, "Don't forget, our ancestors possessed extremely high level mathematics and alchemy knowledge.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, Jimmy, let's start. Let's go to this paragraph and then we can come back tomorrow.
All right.
We'll wrap it up. Yeah.
All right, here we go. It says Christ or Kres as a Greek word derives its mystical sanctity from the circumstance of its being the universal inscription on tombstones and sepulchres. How you pronounce that word, Dr. Isaba?
Hold on, bro. Significancy?
No. Up 2 lines. And
Oh, so we'll look this up. This is what you see in Egypt. The sepulchres. I'm not sure if I pronounce it. You know those coffins? I think those are those coffins.
okay. You gotta take a look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the dead. Okay.
Oops. Hold on. Oh man. All right. Let's see.
Sepulchre.
Yeah, sepulchre. There you go, Jimmy.
Sepulchre. Okay. A burial chamber.
So let's see if we see some images. All right. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a tomb.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So since we know this took place in Egypt, let's look at Egypt. All right, that's what they look like.
Yeah. So we see
Right.
mummy movies.
That's what we're talking about. All right. Let's see in India or Hindu. Stand.
Mhm.
So here's the same thing in India. At least I typed in India. It should be, yeah. That looks like, no, that's not India. Is that India? Yeah, Hindustani. So same thing in India.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a lot of Christianity looking stuff. All right.
Christianity.
Okay.
All right. There we go. Of the dead. So in sepulchre of the dead among all nations that used the Greek language, and among many which use it without knowing its significance. The simple epitaph on each good man's tomb was his name, and the two expressive word, Greek, i.e., good fellow, goodbye. These two words represented sometimes by the initial letters to, and it's like X or St. Andrew's crosses, were a most obvious, looks like hieroglyph, okay, of the two crosses of the equator by the ecliptic at the equinoctial,
Yeah, equinoctial points.
points.
So let's show it real quick.
We want to take a look at that other words prior to it too as well.
All right, so that's here. These are the equinoxes. Okay, so the eclipse is, so let's type it in. Let me go back to the page. Hold on. Let me find it in the book. Okay, by the ecliptic. Okay, so were a most obvious hieroglyph of the two crosses of the equator, by the ecliptic at the equinox. So that's not a good image. Ecliptic at the equinox. All right, let's see. So here we are. You see the screen, Jimmy?
I see the screen right there. Here we go. All right.
Ecliptic is the plane of Earth's orbit of the sun. From the perspective of the observer on Earth, the sun's movement around the celestial sphere over the course of a year traces out a path along the ecliptic against the background of stars. So let me click on this. All right. Let's see. Okay, so we left off here. The ecliptic is an important reference plane. Oh, here's a nice picture.
Okay.
As seen from the orbiting Earth, the sun appears to move with respect to fixed stars, and the ecliptic is the yearly path of the sun follows on the celestial sphere. The process repeats the cycle, lasting a little over 365. Oh, okay, I understand.
Okay, so that's the annual cycle of the sun.
Yeah, as it spins. This line here is the ecliptic. So it's moving. It's saying that the stars are fixed, right, with respect to the fixed stars. So the sun appears to move. As seen from the Earth, from the orbiting Earth, the sun appears to move. So the sun's not moving. The Earth is moving. See?
So the sun is not, you're right, the Earth is moving.
Yeah, so it appears the Earth and the sun and the stars are fixed, and the Earth is orbiting around the sun. So as it orbits, you see a different set of stars, right? All right. Yay.
Well, I mean, if that was the case, then I guess at least out of it, you would have probably been able to see these particular zodiac signs during those particular time of the year. So
Well, the zodiac signs, remember, are made up.
No, that's what I mean. If that was true, if they were true, then and as this is explained, the sun goes around, the Earth rather goes around the sun, and the sun and the stars are fixed, then that would have probably been the case where you see them on an annual basis.
So this is that circle. Remember, when we look at the zodiac, we see the circle. Where is it? Let me show. So let's see. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want to show it.
Gotcha.
You see the circle? So superimpose that circle over here. Right? So it looks like the sun is moving through like this, whatever sign this is, and then whatever sign this is, right? You follow me? It looks like the sun is circling through the sky. But the Earth is only changing its position, so you see different stars. You see what I mean? So here you see one sign, here another sign, here another sign as the Earth moves. You follow me? Are you there?
My mic mute. I'm talking. I'm like, what? Why can't you hear me, man? Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So the Earth is moving, and it appears as though the sun is moving through the sky.
Yeah. Makes
At
sense.
least that's what this is saying, as seen from the orbiting Earth. See the orbiting Earth. That means the Earth is going in a circle. The sun appears to move with respect to fixed stars. So appears means that it doesn't move. And the ecliptic is the yearly path the sun follows on the celestial sphere. This process repeats in a cycle lasting a little over 365 days. All right, so that zodiac sign, you see how this is the ecliptic is a circle? That's what it appears to me, right?
Yeah.
The circle.
The circle and then just keeps going.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish I could find a book to show me this stuff. All right, let's continue.
All right.
These words represented by these two words. Go ahead, Jimmy.
These two words represented sometimes by the initial letters 2X, ES, or St. Andrew's crosses were a most obvious. I'm not going to try to torture this word again, man. Can we look up that word there? How are you? Obvious. Keep going. Andrew crosses were a most obvious right there.
Here, equinoctial points?
No, up right above it. Up right above that equinoctial point, yeah.
Oh, hieroglyph?
Yeah, hieroglyph. Hieroglyph.
Is there anything in the chat, Jimmy?
Looks like we have two individuals, but just saying today, but nothing in the chat right now. If you do have a question or a comment, please feel free to go ahead and put it in into the chat. As we begin to wind down, Dr. Isaba will be able to try to answer any questions that you actually may have pertaining to the material that we covered tonight. Realizing tonight was a rough one, especially with Dr. Isaba having to try to multitask. But we do thank you for hanging on with us as we continue going through this document.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it. There it is. Sir, German detected. Paragraph. Okay, here goes. Okay. Was a character of the ancient Egyptian writing system. Okay. Logographic scripts that are pictographic and form in a way reminiscent of ancient Egyptian are also sometimes called hieroglyphs.
Hieroglyphics. So these are hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're pictographic, meaning that they look like pictures.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's go back. All right.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hieroglyphics of the two crosses of the equator by the ecliptic at the
Equator.
No, we got the equator by the ecliptic at the equinoctial points. That of autumn when the sun dips below, and that of spring when he crosses it again from below, and so is said to rise again from the dead.
Okay, so let's go back to the image. Let's see that. Is it this one? No. Oh, here. So when the sun rises above the equator, let's get a different image. We need to see the equator. let's see. So this is going to relate to the Christ figure rising from the dead.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's not what I want. Where we can't find any images, any decent images.
And this images tonight, man. What's going on?
Okay, so let's look at this one. All right, so here is the summer equinox. This is the equator,
Mhm.
right?
All right.
Summer equinox. So when the sun rises above this line, that's the resurrection of the Christ.
So it's above, okay.
And this is autumn. When the sun goes below the line in autumn, okay, that's the death of the Christ, the crucifixion.
Oh, in the autumn.
Yeah, that's yeah. But this is still not a good image because it's kind of backwards, right? It should be December down here, or at least that's the way I'm used to seeing it. December down here, June up here, right? Spring over here, and then fall over here. But, all right.
Yes, you got spring, summer,
Yeah.
autumn, then winter. Winter back to spring, so it goes in that cycle.
Let's see if we can find something that's more easy
Mm.
to, because that's confusing. I don't know what's going on. I'll try, I know what to do. Let's try Capricorn. No, let's try, yeah, that's how we used to do it, tropic. Maybe it's easier this way. Yeah, I can do it this way. This way is more easy. Let's see if we find a good graphic. Yeah, well, we can do it from here.
Okay.
No, that's not a good one. When I opened it up, it's not, that's no good. What about this one?
Let's see.
Okay, so at the equator here,
Mhm.
this is the equator. So over here, this would be the spring. Okay, spring. Okay, so
Equator. Okay.
the vernal equinox, spring, marking springtime. So when the sun rises above the equator, that's the resurrection. Okay, so this is when spring happens, as the sun rises above the equator. Remember, as it travels around, right? That's okay. And when it goes down, that's the crucifixion. When it goes below the equator, that's the crucifixion. Okay. That's what that's saying.
Mhm.
So this is the meridian line. So this would divide the earth between the west, this line here that I'm the cursor, the west, and then the east. Okay, so if the sun is over here, this is going to be daylight and it's going to be dark over here, right?
Mhm.
It's going to be dark on this side because the sun is over here.
Sun is on that side. Yeah.
Yeah, and so anyway, that's basically what that was saying.
Interesting. Then he correlated it to the resurrection.
Yeah. So these two words represented sometimes by the initial letters, two X's or St. Andrew's crosses. So this X is St. Andrew's cross, okay? Where a most obvious hieroglyph of the two crosses of the equator by the ecliptic at the equinoctial points, that of autumn, which we just looked at, right? when the sun dips below, that's dip below the equator, and that of spring, when he, that's the sun, rises or crosses the equator again, rises above the equator again from below.
Okay.
And so is said to rise again from the dead. So the sun rises again from the dead in March, right? That correlates with what did they call it when the Christ figure rises?
Yeah.
They have a
Is
holiday
it
cup.
Easter, something like that?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. So let's look at the footnote. Hence the name of Christ and Christians, signifying nothing more than good men or good fellows, and bearing no relation to any, let's go to the next page, any religious distinctions whatsoever, was the common complement of language, and the worshipers of Jupiter and Juno, and all of the Rephra deities, so male and female deities of the pantheon, were called Christians. Wow. And were as really so as those ill-natured bigots who pretended a distinction where there never was any difference, and would allow nobody to be good fellows but themselves. That sounds just like hybrids, don't it?
Yes, it does. And that, mentioned that was the same thing that they were putting on those graves.
Yeah, everybody's bad but the hybrid, right? Nobody's good but the hybrid.
Hybrid, yeah.
Okay, so here we are. Let's just review that footnote. The Hindustani Krishna transformed into the Greek, and here's the word here, the Greek word here, signifies merely the good man. Okay, so Krishna is just the good man. Jesus, denoting the divine Christ, the human nature, as existing in that great and universal personification of the solar fire, Jesus Christ, okay? That's what it's referring to. Christ, or crest, as the Greek word, derives its mystical sanctity from the circumstance of it being the universal inscription on tombstones and sepulchres of the dead among all nations that use the Greek language, and among many which use it without knowing its significance. The simple epithet on each good man's tomb was his name. And the two expressive words, and these two Greek words, i.e. good fellow, goodbye. Well, that's appropriate, right? For the grave or the tomb, good fellow, goodbye. Yeah, these two words, represented sometimes by the initial letter, two X's or St. Andrew's crosses, were a most obvious hieroglyph of the two crosses of the equator. And the first cross, the sun rises above the equator, right? Which is a resurrection from the dead. And then the other is when it crosses going below the equator, which is the crucifixion, as far as I know. All right. So the crucifixion in autumn and the resurrection in the spring.
Spring.
Oh man, this those first three paragraphs, man, were a doozy.
Brutal. Now, are we heading for part 4?
No, that's the end of this, thankfully.
That's the end of the whole book?
No. That's the end of this Star of Bethlehem.
Okay.
We got 2 more pages, 46 and 47.
Okay, to be done with the Bethlehem, and then we move on. What are we moving on to next after that?
Yeah, so 2 more pages. So we'll be finished with this next week. I mean, no, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, so next week it is John the Baptist.
Okay, so we'll be done with these 2 pages by tomorrow, and then get into John the Baptist.
Yeah. So y'all bear with us when we have texts like this. Be patient, okay? Because we are not and don't claim to be astrologists, okay?
At all.
So we're trying to figure this out and trying to give you some visuals as we read through this, okay? And as you can see that this book is not written for people who are not experts in the subject matter, but we are figuring it out as it goes. And your comments and questions help tremendously, because you may know things that we don't know. And so we need that, and we appreciate it. All right. So
It's extremely important. Like I said, before we do close out, one thing I do would just like to add earlier, as we were talking about, the spell that is put on, that we are under when we go into Christianity. One key thing that I think people in our audience, fellow scholars, should note is the spell. Once you are under it, it seeks to take away your power. It robs you of your power, because as Dr. Istapa made the correlation, your imaginary, right? It uses your imaginary. Well, you also use your imaginary. It's also used to be able to execute your power that was given to us to manifest. So when we give that away, it tells us or explains why you have one preacher guy with a big mansion, several cars, paid college tuition for their children, and some even make it to the private jet stage. And yet you are still struggling. Why? Because you have given away your power. And this is the whole point of what Dr. Isapa is presenting here, and the opportunity you get at Zion Law School is to be able to reclaim that power, get out of these curses, get out of the spell. In fact, we can correlate being under being in the curses as being under a spell, right? Now we have the material, we have the information, we have the know-how, and it's just a decision you have to make, because Zion Law School will give you that opportunity. We'll be able to help to bring you back, or help you see your way back, rather, to the Most High, to obedience and taking back your power. It's just an amazing feeling.
okay, Jimmy, can you go ahead and present, invite everyone to subscribe to the course?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can't say that enough. That's going to be the absolutely best investment that you can make in yourself. I believe it was a scholar yesterday that mentioned that it does have some knowledge, and that is good. Even with the knowledge you have, going into this Hebrew self-study course, the 101 Ancient Ibaryath, it will help the knowledge that you already have. It's going to help shape it according to our ancestors, because you want to understand certain things about the culture. Because in order to really truly understand a language, like Isapa mentioned this often, you also have to understand the culture. In this course, you get right at the tip of your hand, at your own time, at your own leisure, you will be able to get a better understanding of that culture, of the paradigm of our ancestors, by understanding the language, just like it says in Jeremiah 8:8. So you can be learned, because only when you were learned, then you can begin to truly understand these natural laws. As these natural laws, obedience to these natural laws is what the contract is all about. So this course will be able to help you do that. We'll show you the pictographs. We were just talking about what was that? Hieroglyphic, right? Which was the pictographs for the Egyptian language, or their writings. Well, here you'll be able to see some of the, you will see all the pictographs for our language, which is the Ibaryath. Okay, and again, understand the culture and the grammar. Can't understand a language unless you understand the grammar. And you cannot apply the grammar. For example, somebody who speaks French, they cannot apply the French grammar rules to the English grammar rules, vice versa. You have to become learned in that new language grammar rules in order for you to truly begin to understand. And truth of the matter is that course right there, instead of churches wasting their time in leading people astray, worshiping false deities, maybe they could just help by getting this for these members, teach them how to become scholars, teach them how to become learned in our language, so we can return to the Most High. So this is simply just the most or the best investment you can make in yourself. And truth of the matter is, it's not really an investment because it's practically free. Think about it. For $1, you could try it for 24 hours. You get access to the entire 113 courses, right? Pre-recorded at your own time. You could, within that 24 hours, if you can manage to watch all of it, that's on you. But after that, just $10 per month. You can't really put a price on that. You cannot put a price on that. Now, I'll tell you this. I personally owe probably the U.S. government well over $100,000 in what? Education, right? Those of you who take those student loans, right? Silly 15, Dr. Isapa asked, curses or spells? As a question. Curses or spells? I guess it's a question she's asking. You get it?
Oh, she means about Deuteronomy 28. Oh, no, or Hebrew self-study course, or
No, I think she's basically asking are curses or spells. So in other words, you know how we talk about the blessing and the curses, right? So all the curses spells. I think she asked that because I make a correlation to come out from under the spell, the religion spell, but I correlated to also getting back to obedience and coming out from under the spells.
Oh no,
from under the curse.
Those are punishments. Those are Sealy 15. Go back and read Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. So you'll see that those are things that will happen, like sickness, right? Death, killing, poverty. So those are things that are happening in the physical world. They're not just wishes or saying something about somebody. These are things that the Most High is saying, this will happen to you, right? And they are punishments, okay?
Or we could even say it is because of our disobedience, we are in the curses, and because we are in the curses, as you go through reading Deuteronomy chapter 28, perhaps that's why we fall under these spells, these God spells that has bestowed upon, I guess you could say the majority of our people.
Right, because one of them is you'll worship idols of wood and stone. The others have to do with illnesses. So if you look at the chronic, for example, chronic diseases amongst our people, you'll see we're at the top of the list of asthma, right? TB, diabetes, heart disease, everything, obesity, right? STDs, HIV, AIDS, murder. So these are all things that are actually happening, not just wishes. But in terms of Christianity, those are spells, right? The gospel God's spell. So God is not the Most High. Okay, so if you were in our Saturday class, you would learn that by studying the etymology of the word God and also its history, that it's not the Most High. So yes, Christianity does cast spells and charms on people, right? They engage in all types of ceremonies and incantations, as the author brought out, to gain unlimited power and control over people's minds through their imagination. That was the whole purpose of creating it, right? So in that sense, yes, you're correct. But I don't know which sense you were referring to, Seeley. All right, Jimmy.
All right. So again, if you haven't done so already, get this course. Get this course. It is a phenomenal investment. Get it for somebody perhaps you know who's actually looking for the truth, who's actually looking to come out from under the spells. $10 per month. And you have unlimited access. And here's the best part, again, at your own leisure. If you look in the description, you will get information on how to go ahead and get this course. I like to believe, especially for those of you who's actually been with us and following this material with us here. Today's day number 8, 8 days in a row. I like to believe you already subscribed. And perhaps when we come back tomorrow, some of you can share with us what are your experiences so far. And if you have it, as we come off this live streaming, do yourself a favor, get that. And then if we are wrong from what we sing about it, then you can come on here and say, oh, no, it's not what you said it was. But if it is, you didn't have to come back and say, wow, yeah, this is indeed what we said it is. Get it. Okay. Again, it's the Hebrew self-study course, 101 Ancient Ibaryath. $1 for one whole day to try it out. No doctrine. Then you keep it $10 a month. $10 a month. You won't even realize you're paying that because it's practically free. I think Dr. Isapa said it very often. If you go to one of these modern Hebrew classes, or I know other classes that some Hebrew Israelites, or several of them that a lot of you guys already know or aware of, you go check them out for one of their courses. You'll see how much they are charging, and you're not getting the same information. Information you're actually getting is this modern biblical Hebrew that you're going to get, which is the same thing that the ones that are putting you under the skirt, these curses are actually using to be able to put you under the curse. Now, if your goal is to try to get other people under these spells, then we can understand. But if your goal is to come out of these spells and try to help our people see and understand, to help them come out from under these spells, and this is exactly what you need. All right. And don't forget to recommend it to a friend. Dr. Isapa.
Okay, thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate it very much. So everyone remember Jeremiah 8:8 is so important for us to keep this in mind. We must learn. We must learn Ibaryath. We must learn linguistics. We must. Okay, that's the way we are being dominated, captured, made into slaves, used and abused. Okay, and the way out is to learn Ibaryath, learn linguistics, and return to the Most High. Okay, so everybody is invited to our Saturday class at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will show you linguistically what Deuteronomy 28 says in the original language, the Ibaryath. Okay, we'll show you what it says. Okay, you'll see it for yourself and you'll learn all the skills. You'll learn about all the tools, and you'll grow tremendously as a man or a woman or as a teenager. Okay, so that is there for you Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you need a different date and time, just reach out to me and let me know. And when we get enough people together, we can make another class that's more suitable to your schedule. Okay, but take advantage of what we're offering. All right, please take advantage of it because it's there for you. All right, and if you get abused and used by one of the Hebrew Israelite organizations or Christianity, then you can only blame yourself because you have failed to learn Ibaryath and linguistics. Okay, that the only way that they can keep tricking you is if you let them at this point, right? Because now you know the key to liberating your mind is getting out of Christianity, letting all of that stuff go. And the only way to divest yourself of it is through understanding the language, linguistics, to see that these stories are not true, and to avoid going right back into some other trap like you did when you came out of Christianity, You went into Hebrew Israelitism, right? The only way to avoid that is by learning Ibaryath. And now you are in the driver's seat, okay? You don't need someone to teach you, right? You can figure this out on your own and make your own decisions. You are independent, all right? So with that, Jimmy, thank you so much for coming in and helping me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I do want to thank everybody who also did participate. We have one last comment here, Dr. Isaba. Well,
Okay.
maybe two. We got gratitude from Teresa. We also have love, light, tranquility, love, and light. Gratitude from Appalachian, Joel-El. Appalachian Joel-El. Okay. We appreciate that. And then City 15 says, they ill about all the time. We are not the top of the list of all those things, especially diseases.
We are not?
Yeah, that's what she said. I would probably that's what I would say to Silly 15. Maybe a little bit more in depth research on that would probably help.
Yeah, I think you should research that, Silly 15. I think you should research that. Even if I remember correctly, with the beer virus, I think they also said that was affecting Black people most, right?
Yeah.
They were saying that they were trying to protect. So why is that? I'll tell you why. Because the Black people suffer from the most obesity, right, as a percent population, the most diabetes. We can sum it up with chronic diseases. The so-called Black people are affected the most. They are in the worst health. Okay? It's not an issue of pride. It's just what it is. The Black people live in the most poverty, meaning that their nutrition is the worst. So therefore, they are more susceptible to any illness due to the chronic diseases. That's just a fact. You can check, you can research it, but that's a fact not even worth debating.
No, definitely.
All right.
We do thank you for your participation, and we don't forget we're gonna be back tomorrow night, and we're looking forward to you being there. And don't forget to invite somebody to sit in with you. Dr. Isaba.
Okay. So with that, thank you everyone in the comments. Really appreciate it. And I hope I didn't offend anyone, Sealy 15, especially you, but we have to look at things not in terms of pride, right? It just is what it is. I'm not saying you're looking at it as pride. I'm speaking in general terms, okay? We have to look at life at what it is, at the conditions for what they are, right? That's all I'm trying to say. So anyway, y'all in the comments, search this out yourselves, okay? About the who's suffering from these chronic illnesses, okay? If we are not greatly impacted, leading everything in every category. All right. Okay, so with that, Jimmy, I'm going to say shalom to everyone.
Shalom, and we will be waiting for you tomorrow.